102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game 7.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robbie and Rex Road. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
And welcome into the Friday edition of Robbie and Rexroad here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexroad. Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Hope everybody's doing well. Joe Rexroad, what's going on? Good morning. How are you?
Good. Move-in day. So,
Oh, boy.
ready for that. Kind of, maybe, or not.
It's a big day. Big day in the house of Rexroad. Michelle, good morning. How are you?
Guys, doing great this morning. You know, we got football this weekend, and I have a pumpkin coffee right now, so I'm in full fall mode. I'm so excited. It's my favorite season.
Do they already have those out?
Oh, heck yeah, they do. It came out at Dunkin' last week and Starbucks this week, so we love that.
So are people like all over the pumpkin coffee stuff when it's still, 93 degrees outside?
Absolutely. At least I am.
Okay.
As soon as it comes out, that is my coffee order until further notice.
Okay.
It's like a puddle of orange. It's so hot out still.
No.
So, but I can't, because I'm not a huge pumpkin. I mean, I like one here and there. I'm not a huge lover of those. But I'm already buying Oktoberfest, so it's the same kind of idea, right? Like, it should probably be like October 1st.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's like that, right? And Christmas decorations go up in October, et cetera, et cetera. We've complained about that.
Oh yes, we certainly have. So are you gonna be all right throughout the show today? Like, it's a big day for you.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's going to be absolute chaos going on around me as 2 cars get packed up with a lot of stuff. And so the amount of help I'm providing is limited, which is not great. But, I may show up just a couple seconds late after some commercial break. So, if so, just yell into the computer and I'll come back.
See what happens on that front. Joe, today is a big day. I don't know if you know this or not, but officially, hopefully, if there's any control over it whatsoever by my plans, last night was the final night that I have to watch Jordan Love play football for this season, if things go to plan.
Well, I'm not. I know that last time out he played pretty well. Was he bad last night?
He's all right.
Okay.
He threw a really bad interception, but he's all right. But there's still quite a difference from QB1 to QB2. If you know what I'm talking about, quite a difference.
Yeah. I mean, is he ever actually going to have a real is there a chance that he's going to be QB1 ever?
I mean, I guess there's a chance, but the thing is, he's a first-round pick. This is his 3rd year. Rodgers just signed a 4-year deal. He's probably not going to play all 4 of them, but I bet he plays at least 2. So that means you're going to have to make a decision
on an
as
option
to whether or not to pick up an option without having ever seen him start a game at quarterback. It's a tough one.
Well, I mean, it's somewhat clear, right, at this point that they thought more of him than he was, right? Yeah. Well, good for you, Jordan Love. No harm done. Got the 1st-round contract, and he'll get a chance somewhere, I would imagine.
I would think. I mean, he's gotten better. I don't know what that means moving forward, but he's certainly gotten better. So we'll see what happens on that front. There is a preseason game for the Titans this weekend as well. Let's just start there on quarterback. What do you think happens at quarterback in this game for the Titans against Arizona? Is it going to be the Malik Willis show the whole time, which is going to really be his last chance to have in-game competition, you would think, for the most part this year, unless something has gone horribly wrong? Or are they going to, split it up between he and Woodside? What do you think happens in this game coming up between the Titans and the Cardinals?
It's a great question, and I would answer it with a question. What does it mean either way? Because you could still interpret things differently there too. Like, to me, and I could be reading it wrong, but like if Malik Willis gets this whole game, I will take that as, yeah, Woodside's QB2. And he's just they don't feel great about it. I mean, that's just me. That's my interjection. He hasn't had a great camp. You could do better at QB2. And again, remember, Tuesday, a lot of things can change on a lot of rosters. A lot of things will change on a lot of rosters, and it's possible the Titans could have a different QB2 to pick up. But if it's all Willis's game, then that I would take that as they're just using this game to do what you just said. Like, take your last chance and get as many snaps as you can, get as much out of this experience as you can, and understand that there's a whole bunch of work ahead of you. If Woodside gets like half the game, I start to wonder if they're actually considering Willis as QB2. Do you? Maybe I'm looking at that wrong, but that's kind of how I look at it.
Well, look, if they feel confident about Woodside as QB2, which again, I think a lot of fans hear that and they think, well, how in the world could you feel confident about Logan Woodside as the backup quarterback right now based on the way that he's played thus far in the preseason? And I get that. I also know that they really like Logan Woodside, and they've been glowing about Logan Woodside for the most part over the last couple of years. Maybe they view him a little bit differently than we do at this point, and they just are convinced that he's their guy, and hopefully they never have to use him like they haven't had to the last couple of years. So I think that very well could be within the realm of possibility. I agree. Like, I think if he plays half the game, I think they could really be taking a look at this competition. Now, the problem with that is if he is going to be the backup quarterback, selfishly for me, I'd still like to see him play half the game, because at some point you need to play well, and he's not played well in a game thus far this preseason. So I think it's important for him to play either way. I'm not sure that they would agree with my assessment there. Just the kind of the way I view this heading into this game.
Yeah, and that's the problem here is that obviously the information that we all get. Well, there's three levels of it. There's fans who have seen the two preseason games, and if that's all you've got on Logan Woodside, in the last year, then you're down on him. I totally get it. And then those of us who go to practice see a lot more, and it is often better. Although again, it's weird how like after the preseason game, I swear he had a really bad week after that. But it has been a lot better. And then of course the coaches have so much more information on top of that. And how they evaluate things, but also in the building and all that stuff. So I think he's going to be QB2. I think that, the plan will be with Woodside, just like we kind of talked about all along. That basically he's going to do this year, he's going to do a fair amount of scout team for the Titans. And in some weeks that'll be especially helpful. And then it's just going to be a learning year, and they're just going to be screwed if Ryan Tannehill gets hurt. Like most teams in the NFL are screwed when their starting quarterback gets hurt. I would be open to bringing someone in, but if you bring someone after cuts, you better be really. To me, it's got to be a quarterback who is very familiar with this offense, doesn't it?
You would think so. I mean, you can't just come in and. I mean, I guess you could, but the idea of bringing somebody in would be for them to be ready to play against the Giants, right? In case they need to. Yeah,
exactly. So it's possible. The Blaine Gabbert idea, because technically this is the same offense that he was in 2018. Playing in the winning end game against the Colts at the end of the year, and all year at times he had to play. I mean, he had to play in week 2 and got a huge win over the Texans. That would. If the Bucs are like Trask is, QB2 and the future, and they cut Gabbert, I mean, I would be okay with the Titans signing Gabbert and dispatching Woodside. I mean, I think that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
Short of that, I don't know. I don't know if there's anybody out there, who would be all that appealing. So, and again, if that's also in the mindset of John Robinson, I guess to me, I'd give Willis the whole game.
Well, see, I would say this, like if that's the mindset of John Robinson, I agree. If it's not, I want Logan Woodside to start. Like, I want him out there with the best players that are going to play in this game. I have no clue how many starters are going to play. I don't know if Lawan's going to be out there at all. I would think Petit Frere is going to be out there a pretty good amount. I don't know what the starting offensive line is going to look like in this game against Arizona, but Woodside's come in both games in the second half. I'd like to see him start this game and be out there with the quote unquote better players and see what he looks like then. I don't think that's what they'll do, but that's what I would like to see if they're going to play Woodside in this game.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying, because that is one thing to keep in mind with Woodside, is that he has been coming in late. He's been coming in not even at halftime, but into the second halves of these games. And I hear people when they're like, well, he's going against 3s and 4s on D, and that's true. But who made the point? Was it on our show? Who made the point yesterday about the difference between 3s and 4s pass rushers and 3s and 4s offense? Was it Kaharski this week?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great point, and I think that would be a really interesting case study across the league. Go look at every team's roster and compare like their number 3, outside linebacker / defensive end, whatever their defense is, pass rusher, to like their number 3 offensive tackle. Go to number 4. I mean, like there's a problem in this league finding enough good offensive linemen. It's a league-wide thing, and there are a lot more people who can beat those guys. So, you come in late in the game, and I think Woodside, not making excuses for him, because he's had time on some throws that you just can't throw. You can't make those throws; they're bad. But he has had guys in his face. So if you really do want to see Woodside, if the coaches actually look at this like, man, we need this evaluation for Woodside. I'm not sure about Logan. Like, we got to put him under some pressure and see how he reacts. Then I would agree, start him. I think it's going to be Willis, and I think it's going to be Willis the whole game, and I think Woodside's going to be QB2, pending Tuesday's roster cuts.
We'll continue the conversation on the Titans. Look around at some position battles that could come down to this game for the Titans against Arizona coming up next. By the way, a couple people on the text line pointing out Davis Mills looking okay last night. Wes in Clarksville said Davis Mills last night looked good. I think he's going to make an MVP run, LOL. Rainey on the text line says Packers need to give up multiple first-rounders for Davis Mills. People are starting to catch on, Joe Rexroad. That's one that we were first. We were first.
It seems like a little bit of a stretch to me, but I mean, hey, he's getting it done, man.
It's impossible to overestimate what we've seen from Davis Mills thus far. We'll be right back. Robbie and Rexroad, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Every Wednesday at 2:45.
Sanders for the touchdown, 48 yards.
Former NFL wide receiver Chris Sanders joins Stillman and Company to give his thoughts on all things Titans and NFL. Fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Visit Samsung.com now to pre-order the new Galaxy Z Flip 4 or Z Fold 4 and get a free storage upgrade in case. Valid through 8/25/2022. See terms and conditions that apply.
Now at Lowe's, order any flooring like Stainmaster Pet Protect carpet, starting at $185 per square foot. See in-store associate or product detail page for warranty information.
Pilgrimage Music and Cultural Festival, September 24th and 25th, with Chris Stapleton,
Tennessee whiskey.
Brandy Carlisle,
Swim all across the ocean.
the Avett Brothers. Pilgrimage Music and Cultural Festival with Chris Stapleton, Brandy Carlisle, the Avett Brothers, John Batiste, Elle King, and so many more. General admission and VIP passes on sale now at pilgrimagefestival.com.
This is a relationship, just like your relationship. Dating and getting married is awesome and fun, but having been married for 24 years, I can tell you it only gets better.
Meet Ward Herbert, manager at Genesis Diamonds, talking about the importance of having a long-term marriage with your spouse and your jeweler.
What's in the DNA here is relationship building. How can we be a part of your love story forever? It's your engagement ring, it's your wedding band, it's your anniversaries, it's gifts for your children, it's being a Genesis customer for life.
Genesis Diamonds, where it's never about making a sale, it's about making a hero.
The greatest joy I get is helping you find your perfect ring, helping you find your perfect diamond, and having you walk out with a huge smile on your face because you know she's going to love it and it's going to be something you can be proud of forever.
And Ward knows a thing or two about relationships as a marriage counselor and an ordained minister. He can provide a little extra added value.
I did a wedding ceremony for one of our customers 2 months ago. He did not have a minister at the last minute, and I performed his wedding ceremony for him.
Genesis Diamonds, going above and beyond for every customer.
Now you may kiss the bride.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Man, this is a nice truck.
Yeah, check this out.
What?
I changed it to remind me of my time at sea.
Weren't you in the Air Force?
Yeah, but I really love the ocean.
You could save and get $200 with Navy Federal Credit Union when you refinance your auto loans from another lender, leaving you with extra to spend on other things. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Credit and collateral subject to approval. Refinance loans must be at least $5,000 to be eligible for the $200. Terms and conditions apply. Learn more at NavyFederal.org.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching the game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Aside from any numbers, results, or anything, what have you seen Malik improve on over the last 2.5 weeks or so now that he's got a couple of games under his belt?
Well, we talked about, there was times that, we never want him to be a sitting duck, but there's also a progression. I've seen him work through his progression. I've seen him improve his timing. And then I've seen him, being able to slide up in the pocket. He hit Hassan when he slid up, and then he slid up and was able to attack the defense. And that's where you can make a lot of damage, in this league. And then if you go out, the back of the pocket, using numerous quarterbacks as an example, but Josh Allen's made a living, going out and making plays out of the pocket and throwing the ball downfield and keeping his eyes downfield. But there's also a time to get in and break it down to defense and then make sure that you're, protecting yourself and the equipment.
That was Mike Grebel on Malik Willis and the progression that he's seen from him thus far during training camp. Going to be interesting to see how Malik Willis plays coming up on Saturday against Arizona. So, Joe, we've talked about the quarterback position and what our expectations are there coming up on Saturday. What about the rest of the team? I mean, this is always an interesting point to me to get to in the preseason because training camp, as of yesterday, is kind of essentially over at this point. And now you've got this final evaluation period with the preseason game coming up tomorrow. And I always wonder, how many actual decisions and roster spots actually come down to this last game tomorrow? I mean, I think there are some that have happened throughout the course of the history of the Titans or any team you want to throw out there. I think a lot of them are probably already decided at this point. But as you look at this team and as you look at some of these different position groups that we've talked about this week, are there any that stand out to you as to some maybe position battles, be that starter or be that, depth that could actually come down to tomorrow's game for the Titans against Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably more on the depth side of things. It's probably more bottom of the roster. They've made these moves at safety. So what's the safety group? And some of these are questions that can't be answered in a game because we don't know injury status of some people, duration of certain injuries. The safety position is one example. We know that Monty Rice is on PUP, so he's missing the first 4 games. I mean, there's a spot. How many of those guys are making the team? I think it's more bottom of the roster stuff. How many linebackers versus how many receivers? Okay, 3 quarterbacks. So where does that get taken out of? 8 offensive linemen, 9 offensive linemen. There's a lot of defensive linemen who could make this team at this point based on, DeMarcus Walker, I feel like has gotten tremendous opportunities, but Deshaun Hand has also done good things. I think Naquan Jones and Tier Tart, those guys are in, I think. I think Laurel Murchison's probably out based on what I'm seeing, what I've seen with reps and everything. You could keep that as a tight group and just your main guys, or you could really be like, there's a couple of these guys who we really need for depth. And that totally changed the picture. As far as the higher end, I think you're right that Petit Frere probably plays a decent amount. I guess. Who knows with this game? This is obviously the same thing as the fourth game, and in some of these games, Vrabel has very much not played many people at all. But I would think Petit Frere would get out there. Are the corners going to get out there and play a lot again in this game? I don't know, but and how much does this one game against what I would assume would also be a whole bunch of backups mean in that situation? Because I just still think that Farley and McCreary are probably realistically like co-starters at this point. But who knows with Molden, right? And then maybe McCreary's in there. And then there's the punting situation. Is it telling? Does it mean anything that now Kern goes back to holding? Does that mean they've gotten their look and it's like, okay, it's just back to Brett Kern? Or is that an active, just straight up competition right now, and they need to see both of them Saturday night?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I mean, I would assume Dylan Radins is probably going to play a lot in this game as well. Is he going to play at guard? Like, is he going to be the backup guard? Do they trust somebody else to be the backup guard? Are they going to cut Dylan Radins next week? I mean, I would assume he's going to play a whole lot in this game coming up against Arizona.
Yeah, and if you're him, you have to look at it like you're playing for a job. But where do they put him then? So if it's basically over at right tackle and they're going with the rookie, does that mean that they need to, Aaron Brewers is the left guard of this team. So does Brewer get the night off and Radin starts at left guard and let's see what you can do? I could see that.
I could see that too.
See if he can at least be like your third guy there. So, and it's just obviously to me, people who are on the field at this point, in some of these cases, you get down to this game and it's like you gotta fill the football time, right? Like go out there and Vrabel talks about this all the time. You're providing opportunities to these guys too. Some of these guys who you aren't really evaluating anymore, they're not making the team. I think Vrabel knows what it's like to go through this stuff. He's been he's been this guy. So, he's talked about that, and I think he takes it very seriously. Like let him put a quarter on tape and see what he can do, and maybe it'll catch somebody's eye. All these guys. I shouldn't say all these guys. A lot of these guys are just trying to stay in the league and get a job somewhere.
For sure. And then there's the receiver room as well, with 5 spots you would think being pretty much wrapped up at this point. Number one, how are the Titans viewing that room as to how many they're going to keep? And number 2, if they're keeping 6, who's that 6th guy? Like we keep talking about Des Fitzpatrick. Is he for sure the 6th guy? Is there somebody else that could come in and steal that spot from him? Like, there's not a whole lot left to figure out with receivers at this point, I don't think. But if they're keeping 6, who is that final spot going to go to? And is it Des Fitzpatrick's spot to lose at this point? And how much is one game going to change that?
Right. Yeah. Obviously Godwin, they've moved on there. Malone, they moved on there. So, and those were 2 guys that I would have said there. I mean, you could look at Cody Hollister's still always around, man. He's always around. Hey, Mason Kinsey has had a really good camp. I mean, he really has. But I would think Dez would get it. If they're going to keep a 6, that it would be Dez. Robertson has been pretty good too, but the rookie unsigned or undrafted rookie out of SMU. I mean, he's been pretty good. People thought he would be pretty good, and he was. I would think Dez by a nose over him if there's a 6th receiver. I could see that position possibly being sacrificed and just go with 5 and a couple of those guys on the practice squad. So, but I think it would be dead. I don't know. Hollister is interesting. I mean, he just like they trust him a ton and all that, and he's had a good camp.
A great hair.
He does have terrific hair. So that you got to factor that in too. I think it would be Dez. And the tight end too. Like I think Hudson becomes the 4th tight end. I think that's what will happen. David Wells has been getting a lot of opportunity lately, but I think Hudson would be the guy as the 4th tight end. But are they definitely keeping 4 tight ends?
It's a great question. And then there's real quickly, Joe, this final question of if you're keeping 3 quarterbacks, which position ultimately is going to be the one that ends up being sacrificed if you're keeping the 3 quarterbacks? And I guess going back to the Woodside discussion, what are the chances the Titans maybe taking their chances and trying to sneak Logan Woodside through to the practice squad and still having him there? I mean, obviously somebody would pick up Malik Willis. I don't know 100% that somebody would pick up Logan Woodside.
Yeah, no, well, and that's possible too. And I don't think anybody would pick him up. Like I think they'd be okay if that's what they wanted to do, and not have him on the active roster. Just have him on the practice. I think they'd be okay. But again, if he's QB2, then he's on the active roster.
Yeah, and
like you said, you can't. I'm sure the Titans would love to be able to flip that around, just go right to the practice squad, Malik Willis. They'd love that, but that obviously will not work.
Coming up next, you'll hear from Trey Wallace from Outkick. We discussed the Tennessee Vols and took a look around the SEC as well. Looking forward to that conversation coming up next. Kick off week 1 with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code ROB to get in on the action, and you can turn game day into payday all season long. I really like the Titans in week 1 against the Giants. The Giants continue to have injury problems in the preseason, so that's probably the game that I'm looking at, but you take it any way you want to take it. Play your way and bet on more than just the final score. Wager on everything from touchdowns to total yards to catches. You can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So don't fumble your chance to get $150 in free bets. Win or lose with promo code ROB. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
ESPN Titans NFL Nation reporter Teron Davenport brings knowledge.
3 touchdowns. He was processing, getting rid of the ball quickly.
Passion.
Make no mistake about it. He absolutely has to hit the ground running.
And expertise on the two-tone blue and the NFL. Join TD every Monday at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Friday morning at 8 for all the latest on your favorite team. Teron Davenport is presented by Craneworks on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Indeed believes less is more. That's why they have powerful tools to help you source, screen, and hire quality people faster. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit.
Alter Bridge. Collins and Kings Tour 2023. January 30th. Ryman Auditorium. With Mammoth, WVH, and Red. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at Ryman.com. New album, Pawns and Kings, out October 14. Sponsored by PNC Bank and Access.
This week's Nashville's Best Deal is Seafood Sensation. Often imitated but never duplicated, Seafood Sensation is Nashville's original seafood restaurant. Right now, you can get half off a $25 gift card at theGameNashville.com/deals and enjoy some of your favorite seafood dishes, like their crab legs platter, grilled salmon, and more. That's Seafood Sensation, located at 2719 Jefferson Street near the TSU campus. Get half off a $25 gift card while they last at theGameNashville.com/deals.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Your home for Hit City is 94.9 The Fan.
Your Nashville Sounds continue their series at Durham. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win. Pregame at 5:20
on your home for Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey Nashville, this is Gary Bettman. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Robbie and Rex Road here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rex Road. Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. And we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our good friend Trey Wallace from Outkick. Trey, what's going on, brother? How we doing?
Hey, good morning, guys. Doing good. Just getting closer to, some interesting slate of games on Saturday, I guess.
Yep, no, that's certainly one word for it, but college football season is upon us, thank God. So we've almost made it, Trey. Trey, I want to start on the Vols and specifically the Brew McCoy situation and his eligibility. Still no answer on that for the Vols as they're a week away now from their opening game against Ball State. How did we get to this point, and what sort of a resolution, if any, do you see for Brew McCoy as they move forward here?
I think you got to this point because you look at a player, like Brew McCoy who made the move over to Knoxville from USC, and the NCAA looks at it, and USC kind of looks at it too, is he made that pit stop in Austin, Texas, before going back to USC. He only went there for the spring. And I think when we all know the one-time transfer rules that are out there and whatnot, and then you have graduate transfers, which is a completely different category. And now we're sitting here with Tennessee, where they're in a situation where, they were looking for a little bit more help out of USC, I think, over the first couple months of summer, and that didn't come. And now you're in a predicament where we're sitting here Thursday morning, and the young man is not eligible. And talking with a bunch of people about this around the Southeastern Conference, compliance officials, there is a little bit of an understanding when it comes to this form that each school has to sign off on, the no participation opportunity form. And Tennessee's in a spot right now where, yes, USC could have signed that piece of paper and then it had all been done with, and he'd have been immediately eligible and he could play. But NCAA is now looking into it because Tennessee had to go that route with their waiver process on this. And, the biggest thing about this whole situation is that they needed USC to cooperate with the waiver process. And I think, as of last weekend, I think USC finally started getting involved a little bit more when it comes to the waiver process for Brew McCoy. But, I think one of the misconceptions is, that Lincoln Riley has something to do with it. Lincoln Riley doesn't have anything to do with this. I think this is a USC administration problem. I think their counsel, has probably told them, hey, don't sign any type of documents if you don't feel comfortable. And then Tennessee looked at it as, okay, well, you guys told us that you guys are going to sign a document. We're not going to have to deal with all this mess, and he would be cleared and ready to go. So we sit here on a Thursday, and you know how the NCAA is. It's a waiting game. Could he be eligible, this afternoon, here in 30 minutes, potentially? But now, they're having to go back and forth between two schools, USC and Tennessee, and now we sit in a little bit of a tricky spot.
Okay, so it's still as simple, Trey, as someone at USC signs this and it's over. Is that right?
That's correct. I mean, that's correct. Mike Bowen, the AD, can sign that form, and it would be done. He would be eligible once they sent that over to all the correct parties. But there is language in that form, if you've read it, or maybe USC doesn't feel comfortable. You know, did he leave USC in good standing? Academically, was he in good standing when he left? I'm just throwing a couple of the clauses out there to you. So, I mean, you know, there a little bit of me says, okay, I kind of understand what USC is doing by hoping the NCAA. Here's what it really comes down to, Joe. USC is hoping that the NCAA makes this decision real quick, because then they can come out smelling really good out of this by saying, oh, well, we participated in the waiver process, so we're good to go on that front. That's pretty much what they're hoping for right now, after kind of dragging their feet a little bit with this whole process from May to right now, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so if they do sign it, can this come back on them? If they, I mean, because of the language, like, is there some sort of a potential ramification for them if what everything the form says is not accurate and they signed it?
I mean, yeah, and that's why you're seeing their general counsel is telling them not to sign it. So, you know, it's rather, like, I'll give you an example right now. The director of athletics, Mike Bowen, has to sign this form, and one of the clauses in there is, was student athlete no longer given an opportunity to participate, practice, or compete by NCAA bylaws, or was not dismissed from the team or institution for any reason within the student athlete's control, was athletically eligible and in good standing with the team at the time of transfer. That number 3, that one sticks out to me, because Rube McCoy was suspended in 2021, but he was fighting with USC to, guess, either A, get eligible to play and get the suspension lifted, but also there were no charges or anything along those lines. Nothing came of the Title IX. Nothing came of the legal situation when it comes to the criminal charges. So that's the argument that's being made over the last 3 months with this in regards to him. And I think that we're cutting it a little bit close as the season draws closer.
Trey Wallace from Outkick on with us here on Robbie and Rex. So Trey, that part of the discussion aside, we are a week away from Tennessee taking the field at this point. What sort of a team and sort of a group do you think Josh Heupel could have this year heading into his second year?
You know, I think offensively, I think you can see this team, take the next step. Look, it's going to be hard to replace a guy like Velus Jones Jr. when it comes to special teams and what he did with the receiving corps. But I think offensively, I think they have enough tools around Hendon Hooker. I think with the backfield, Jabari Small, Jalen Wright, can Dylan Sampson, and Justin Williams, take that next step as a freshman, and be somebody reliable. So offensive line-wise, I think they're in a good spot too. Like, this feels like a team that if they can get to like the middle ground of their defense out of them, and I'm talking, okay, get off the field, hold the team to 24, 28 points, and somehow get after the quarterback. The biggest thing this year to me is, let's see what Jawan Mitchell has at linebacker. Let's see what he really has once he gets in the game at Tennessee and he's free of any type of injury. At the moment, line him up beside Jeremy Banks and let them go. You look at the secondary, there's a couple, it's deep, but talent-wise, how deep is it? And I think that's going to be the big question for this year. And also, Robbie, depth along the defensive line is always key. And Rodney Gardner's trying to build that up. I think we all know that Tyler Barron and Byron Young are going to come off the edges, and Tennessee will be fine in that category. But it's about the interior defensive line and having enough bodies to get in and off the field when you're worn down, because Josh Heupel's not slowing down his offense for his defense. I think we all understand that and see that. So now you're in a spot, does Tim Banks' defense take the next step in 2022? I think that's the big question. But, to me, this is an 8 to 9 win football team, and if they upset somebody, I mean, you're right at that 9 win mark. So, I just look at Tennessee overall as a group that is going to score a lot of points, can't afford the injuries. Luckily, they have a backup quarterback in Joe Milton that at least has some experience, and what seems to be, in my opinion, is kind of stepped up his game from last year. So it's all going to be about what Josh Heupel does on offense, but the squad looks like they have some talent this year.
Our listeners are going to be very excited that you just brought up Joe Milton, Trey. I have already declared that he is Tennessee's starting quarterback for Week 1 of next season, which a lot of people are just
Rex Rhodes' his biggest fan, Trey.
I know that's the crazy part. Like, I think it's going to come down to like Taven Jackson and Joe Milton, and I don't. Whatever. To me, I don't know if Nico is going to be a starting quarterback. Immediately. Like I'm sure the people that cash checks probably hoping that he's a starting quarterback immediately. But I think it could come down to where this kid actually played the smart game and could potentially, get behind-handed. I mean, I don't, I'm just saying I would put money in a pool with you, Joe, if you wanted to and make that bet.
See that the support is growing. I'm telling you, Mike. I think Mike Wilson is on this train too. So let's just keep it rolling down the tracks. I love it.
We'll do it. I'm sure he can complete the long ball now. We're good.
Yeah, no question about it. Trey, Tennessee aside, as you look at the SEC this year, obviously, Alabama and Georgia are the overwhelming favorites. Who do you think is the third best team in the SEC this year? Who do you think it ends up being at the end of the season?
Man, Jimbo Fisher's praying that it's them. It's tough for me. I think third best overall. I mean, it could be a tie between, Arkansas, A&M, in my opinion, for potentially third best. I want to see Kentucky. I want to see them prove it this year. Kentucky's got that Week 2 game against Florida. And they have to go down there without Chris Rodriguez. That's intriguing to me because that could be somewhere where Florida is, decent enough coming off that Utah game. Maybe you catch them slipping. But overall, it's time for it is time for Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M to be a team that's fighting. And I remember the COVID year. Okay, I do. But also, this is a roster that shouldn't have 4 losses on the record like last season. They win a big game and then they drop a game in Mississippi State at home. Like, I want to see some kind of consistency out of this quarterback room. I think last year it was thrown out of whack because Haynes King went down. They had to roll with Zach Calzada, who honestly might be the third string quarterback at Auburn this year. So I look at Texas A&M and I think they can be that team. But then over there, I look at Arkansas and I look at their schedule and I look at KJ Jefferson. And, the biggest component to me about Arkansas in 2022 was that they had Barry Odom return and Kendall Browse. You just don't see that a lot, especially Barry Odom and him running that defense, with linebacker Bumper Pool. Arkansas is a team that I think is going to be hanging around the top 25 all season long. I think they're going to beat, somebody maybe they're not supposed to this season. And look, they opened the season up with Cincinnati. I don't think that should be that big of a problem for them in Fayetteville. But it's all going to come down to that Week 4 matchup in Texas A&M and Arkansas and Arlington and Jerry's World. Man, that could set up a crazy year in the SEC West. So I'm kind of looking right now at Arkansas, Texas A&M. Let's see what Kentucky can do.
Trey Wallace from Outkick, our guest here on Robbie and Rexro. Trey, great stuff as always, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning.
Guys, thanks so much for having me. Enjoy the first weekend of college football.
Absolutely. You as well. Trey Wallace, our guest here on Robbie and Rexro. We'll take your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is Robbie and Rexroad, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
If you're on the road between downtown Nashville,
They're still in good shape to make the playoffs.
and I-840,
Players make it clear they don't want to be somewhere anymore.
there's a new way to hear all your favorite shows and sports programming on 102.5 The Game.
And he has added players that do fit.
What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams.
This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have two choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Forecast calling for a high temperature right near 90 degrees this afternoon. A little more humidity than yesterday and a few more pop-up showers and storms afternoon through the evening, but no severe weather is expected throughout the day.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the happy face truck today.
Pink Floyd's Roger Waters. This is not a drill.
We're doing a show in the round. It's something new. I'll look forward to the challenge.
Featuring his songs from the golden era of Pink Floyd. Saturday, August 27th, Bridgestone Arena. Tickets at rogerwaters.com.
This is not a drill.
Produced by AEG Presents.
Bundling home and car insurance with Geico is so easy, your neighbors are probably already doing it. But who? They may drop little hints like,
beautiful day out. Even more beautiful since we saved by bundling our home and car insurance with Geico.
or
Yard work is hard. Much harder than bundling with Geico, which was easy.
or it may be even subtler, like,
Speaking of burgers, we bundled our home and car insurance with Geico and saved a bunch of money.
bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. An oil change with quality oil like Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic can help your engine get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $35.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Start the second half of the baseball season the right way and turn Ks into cash and big hits into big wins with FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just sign up using promo code PLAY. Place your first bet, and FanDuel will give you up to $1,000 back in match bets if you don't win. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up using promo code PLAY to get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000.
21 plus and present in Arizona, Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Louisiana. Permitted parishes only. Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, West Virginia, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Illinois. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee. 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia.
Chase McCade.
You get a little fired up for that. Pads start popping.
Willy Donick.
And you're just thinking, this guy's unbelievable.
And Derek Mason.
Now I gotta run a little bit faster so I don't get hit.
Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
We are your racing station. 102.5, 106.3 The Game is Nashville's home for NASCAR. Tune in this Saturday at 5 o'clock for the Coke Zero Sugar 400. NASCAR on 102.5, 106.3 The Game is presented by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Welcome back in, Robbie and Rex Road, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Joe Rex Road, we are one day away. College football is back, and it's time to make some predictions. Vanderbilt in action tomorrow, taking on Hawaii. What are your expectations this year for this Vanderbilt football team as they embark on their journey in the second year of Clark Lee tomorrow?
Well, not for a lot of wins. You know, I actually, I did Tennessee and Vanderbilt predictions today at the Athletic.
Oh boy.
I did best case and worst case. So I did, best case for Vanderbilt. I got to 7-5. So that would be, so that would be, Hawaii Saturday, Elon. Then you got Wake Forest coming in. Their quarterback's hurt. You got a trip to Northern Illinois. Good team. They lost a lot from a very good, but the MAC champion last year. That's a tough game. Could they win all of them? I mean, yeah. 3 SEC wins. That's, again, we're talking absolute. So what are the even possible wins? I looked at Missouri. I looked at South Carolina. What the heck else did I look at now? Oh, Ole Miss. Again, I think they're going to be about 3-9 this year. 4-8. Obviously, if they're 4-8, that means they double their win total from last year. I think it's more about for them being competitive more often, and even being looking like they're playing the same sport when they play the top teams, right? And getting, Mike Wright's a big part of, to me, this year. I mean, they've gone all in on him as quarterback. How does that pay off for them? Does he take a big step as a player? And then do you see young players? I mean, the last 2 recruiting classes, which is Clark Lee's quick put together class after Derek Mason, and then this last class, both in the 30s. You get in the 30s Vanderbilt consistently, you got a chance to be a lot more competitive than Derek Mason's stuff in the 50s and 60s, and it's just, I mean, his recruiting classes eventually, you just saw once you lose the really good quarterback and Kyle Shermer, you saw how that you just can't sustain that in this league. So are any of those young guys going to make a difference this year? I think that'd be exciting for fans. Jaden McGowan, I mentioned him yesterday, receiver, you got to watch out for sure.
I got Vanderbilt at 4-8 this year. I think they roll off 3 non-conference wins, and I think they get 1 conference win in there, and I've got them beating Missouri on the road. So I think they're going to take care of business tomorrow against Hawaii. Elon, they should win. I don't think they're going to beat Wake Forest, but I think they'll beat Northern Illinois. And then Missouri is the SEC team that I think they can sneak up and win. Honestly, given where they were last year, 4-8, it's not going to get anybody excited, but I think 4-8 would signal some progress to me. And I mean, the fact of the matter is, I mean, one of your crossover games this year for Vanderbilt is Alabama. So that's a tough draw on the other side. Ole Miss, I think, is going to be good. Georgia, obviously. South Carolina, I think, has got a lot of potential. The Florida game's interesting to me. I still think Florida is way more talented than Vanderbilt is, but I just have no clue what Florida is going to be this year. So I'm interested to see how that one shakes out. But 4-8 is the number that I have with Vanderbilt, and I feel reasonably good about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good pick. Again, I went 3-9. I just had a hard time. Well, actually, I'm trying to think. I need to make sure that I'm accurate here with I think my 3-9 actually involved 2-2, and then the 1. I think that is right. And it probably is Missouri, right? Poor Missouri. Missouri fans hearing that their team is picked to lose to Vanderbilt.
We probably just ensured a 35-point victory for Missouri.
And Missouri's interesting too. Eli Drinkwitz is recruited really well. No, I did not pick Vanderbilt to win that game. I picked Vanderbilt to beat South Carolina. So, okay. And that's one of those, I don't know, Spencer Rattler. Shoot, he could be a revelation this year. And Shane Beamer, I mean, who knows? That program could be really interesting. They could be a problem for Tennessee, right?
For sure.
Potentially. But I'm kind of going off, obviously, last year, Vanderbilt had that game one. Very different situation for South Carolina, but it was on the road. This one's at home. So, yeah, I think anything better than 4 wins for Vanderbilt this year would be pretty impressive. If they were to get to 5, that would be – and, of course, 5 could, in theory, even put you in a bowl game, depending on how many teams and – 5 and 7 could, in theory, get you in a bowl game, depending on how the rest of the picture shakes out. That would be impressive. Anything, 6-6 would be astounding. Like if they get to my best case scenario record, 7-5, then is Clark Lee National Coach of the Year? He might be.
He very well might be at that point. I've got another SEC take for you. I don't know if this qualifies as a hot take or not, but I'm going to throw it out there to you anyway. By the time the season ends and you get to the SEC title game, both Alabama and Georgia will be 12-0. They will both be 12-0 heading into the SEC title game. I feel a lot better about Georgia's part of it than I do Alabama, even though I think Alabama's better this year.
Yeah.
Like I look at Georgia's schedule.
It's so ridiculous.
They got Oregon to play in the first game. I think they're going to crush Oregon. Other than that, like you go down through the schedule, it's pretty soft for the most part. Their crossover opponent is Auburn this year, which I don't think Auburn's going to be very good, who they play every year, but also the other one is Mississippi State. So it was a pretty good draw there for Georgia, we think. They're going to have some tough games. Like Kentucky should be a competitive game. We'll see what Tennessee brings to the table against them. But I know they lost a lot on the defensive side of the ball. I think they'll be undefeated. Alabama, I think, is the best team in the country heading into this year. They got A&M, they've got Arkansas, LSU. There's a lot of games that could sneak up and get them. They play Texas in week 2. But I think this is going to be a pretty darn good Alabama team. So I'm calling my shot, Rex Road. Alabama and Georgia are both undefeated in the SEC title game. And that means that both of them are going to the college football playoff again.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with that. I absolutely believe that they're going to both be 12-0. Like you said, I think all of it. Alabama's better. Georgia's schedule is almost scandalously easy. There's some interesting couple Saturdays for Alabama, but you look at that team with what they bring back, what they did last year, how they continue to recruit. I think this could be, I don't want to say one of Saban's best teams because that is a big, big statement, but just the fact that you have maybe the best football player in America on the defensive side of the ball and the reigning Heisman winner and one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the country on the offensive side of the ball. Feel pretty good about that.
Feel pretty good. That's a pretty good starting point for this team. We'll save Tennessee stuff for next week as they head into their first game against Ball State coming up next Thursday. But got some interesting predictions for Tennessee to get to next week as well. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Joe Biscaglia from The Athletic. We'll take a look at the Buffalo Bills. Some interesting news on the Buffalo Bills over the course of the past 24 hours. We'll get to that with him coming up as well. It is fantasy football season. And my friends at Twin Peaks can hook you up for your fantasy football draft party, which includes a draft board, player stickers, free Wi-Fi, a $50 bonus for the commish, and a $5 bonus card for each drafter as well. And when you're not on the clock, relax with one of Twin Peaks' refreshing 29-degree beers, or order for the whole team with the Peak sampler full of fan favorites, or indulge in shareables like the double stack nachos, loaded fries, and multiple flavors of great boneless wings as well. Call Twin Peaks in Cool Springs to book your fantasy football draft party at 615-221-0869. Once again, that's 615-221-0869. This is Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Your speaker at home is so smart that even Alexa knows where to find Nashville's best sports talk.
102.5 The Game is Nashville's best sports talk.
Ask Alexa to enable 102.5 The Game. Once enabled, ask Alexa to play 102.5 The Game.
Welcome to 102.5 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Some people were made to follow the instructions. We were made to make our own. To always measure twice and never cut corners. Unless, of course, we've got a compound miter saw. Northern Tool and Equipment is a problem solver's paradise. There's nothing we can't find, fix, or figure out together. We're made for this. Start solving your projects today at northerntool.com.
The Nashville Sheriff is hiring correctional officers. Earn $52,500 after paid training and probation. Positions are available immediately. You must be 21 and over with a high school diploma or GED. Come join our family. That's $52,500 with great benefits. Apply now at sheriff.nashville.gov/apply or call 615-862-8170. Earn $52,500. Stop searching. Apply now. The Nashville Sheriff.
The Labor Day event from Dell Technologies is here. End the summer strong by starting up a new season of productivity. Your business upgrade begins with up to 48% off top-rated laptops like Volstro, taking performance to the next level with 12th Gen Intel Core processors. It's time to push your growing business even further. What's next for you? Upgrade today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. 877-ASK-DELL.
Long weekends are all about getting a little you time. And at the Home Depot, you time starts with you saving. Saving space with an HDX 27-gallon Tough Tote for only $13.98. Saving time with a free and fast-charging 18-volt battery when you buy select Milwaukee Power Toolkits. And saving you a trip with free delivery on over 1 million items. Do Labor Day your way with savings right now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code ESPN17 for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's code ESPN17. Use code ESPN17 for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willy, and D-Mase.
Stowing and Company. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome game 7.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robbie and Rex Road. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Welcome back in, Robbie and Rexroad here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Taking a look around the AFC, and to help us do that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in Joe Biscaglia from The Athletic, who covers the Buffalo Bills. Joe, what's going on? How are you?
I'm great, guys. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. So, Joe, let's just start here. It was obviously such a heartbreaking end to the season last year for the Bills against Kansas City. And I think a lot of people feel like this is the team that's going to get the job done and get them over the top. Is that the main vibe that you're getting out of Buffalo, that people feel like this is the year for Josh Allen and the Bills?
Yeah, I mean, this is as talented of a roster as they might ever see with Josh Allen, because he's still not quite into the portion of his contract where the entire thing just balloons. He's still around like the 20 million mark. Next year it goes into the 40s. So they still had some flexibility for the season to be able to keep such a talented roster, because if you look up and down the squad, like up and down the starting lineup, you're like, okay, there's not a ton of weaknesses. I mean, there's a few things you can poke holes in, but for the most part, this is a well put together roster, and they definitely addressed some of their weaknesses from last year. One of their biggest weakness was the defensive line and not being able to generate enough pressure to bring down the opposing quarterback. And they go out and they basically reformat not almost, 62.5% of their defensive line rotation. They bring in Von Miller as their marquee pass rusher. They bring in 3 new defensive tackles, all of which able to get into the pocket and be able to bring down the quarterback. So I think the front office is excited about this roster. The coaching staff is trying to keep things in perspective. But yeah, I think everyone around town kind of knows that this is one of the best rosters that they will with Josh Allen as the quarterback.
Yeah, it looks like a tremendous team, Joe. I'm interested in some offensive linemen, both former Titans and also, I guess, maybe future Titans. It's gotten so bad here at right tackle that people are wondering if Bobby Hart may be out there. But I'm wondering about him, David Quessenberry, and then also Roger Saffold, I think, is a big loss for the Titans. And I know the Bills want to run the ball better. What would you say about those guys at this point after a few weeks?
Yeah, Saffold is, after not being able to start training camp due to a ribs injury that he sustained in a car crash. He's been back for a few weeks now. He's now fully integrated into team drills, and it seems like that is now behind him. They're locked in starting left guard, and he's done a really nice job so far. So they're very excited to have him, because that was the guard position was a bit of a weakness last year for most of the year until they got to the end of the season. And even then, like, Darrell Williams wasn't all that great, and they wound up moving on from him. But as for the other two guys, Quessenberry, he has turned into their top reserve lineman, whether it be at right tackle, at left tackle, at inside at guard. He is their top reserve in their minds, and he's done a really nice job, especially because he has taken a ton of first-team reps throughout the summer due to various injuries. And their starting right tackle, the second-year kid, Spencer Brown, he went through some off-season back surgery, so it's kind of been a slow ramp-up process, and Quessenberry has been getting all that time with the one. So he's safe. And then Bobby Hart, he has played his way onto the roster. I would be very surprised, because he's done a little bit at tackle, a little bit at guard. I would be very surprised if they moved on from him for final cut. So the guys that are maybe on the bubble right now are guys like Greg Van Roten, Greg Mans. So it's probably not what Titans fans are looking to hear if they're looking for a right tackle.
Probably not. Joe Biscaglia from The Athletic on with us here on Robbie and Rex Road. So some troubling news yesterday, Joe, as it relates to the Bills. Matt Araiza, along with a couple other teammates at San Diego State, among 3 accused in a rape lawsuit. Obviously, his attorneys have come out and have denied that. How do you think the Bills handle this situation moving forward?
Well, I think there's a couple of different factors to it, because they recently made the decision, because they had a punting competition between Araiza and Matt Hawk, who just recently signed with the Colts. And the big wonder when it initially came out was, okay, were the Bills aware when they made this decision? And from some reporting from my colleague at The Athletic, Tim Graham, he has sources that say that the Bills were aware, that they were made aware of it ahead of the decision to go with Matt Hawk. And the statement that they put through said that they were recently made aware of the civil complaint involving Araiza from the time of the incident, the alleged incident in October 2021. And they said that they conducted a thorough examination of the matter, and that they're not going to have another comment to this point. So they haven't really done anything else besides that. They have a preseason game down in Carolina this evening, and Sean McDermott will be he'll be made available to the media, as he is at every game. He's also going to talk with the media tomorrow at 3:00. So that will be a time where we maybe hear a little bit more from them, but they have been silent since then. From every indication, I mean, there haven't been any transactions that they've moved on from Araiza to this point, and it's just a matter of, okay, what is their next step? Because there's obviously public perception issues that they need to really take a good thinking. They really need to come together and think about what is best for the franchise here. And they said they conducted that thorough examination, but they really need to handle this situation with care, because this is a disturbing allegation against a rookie punter, and they need to be really careful with this one.
Yeah, Joe, and I mean, in Tim's story, it mentions that the young woman, who of course was a 17-year-old girl at the time, high school student, went to police the next day, and that the investigation there is ongoing. So for people who think this is just a civil suit, I mean, apparently it's not. Like, there still could be, criminal charges filed here. So in terms of, where this could go, I guess, for the Bills, I mean, how I guess damaging could this be even for this season and team potentially?
Yeah, I mean, it is a potential dark cloud that will remain over the roster if they do not deal with this properly. And there has been a really large outcry from a lot of fans on Twitter that want him cut. And since he is a rookie punter, then I mean, it's not really like something that they need to that they have to feel like that they have to protect this person, and it really shouldn't matter what position they play or anything like that when it's as damning of allegations as it is. Just going through the court documents, it's a really tough read. It is a tough read to stomach, and I know some of it has gotten out there on Twitter on screenshots, and it is very disturbing. And it's early in the morning, so I'm not going to get into the specifics of it. But this is a bad situation. So the Bills need to be very careful, because they had a lot of momentum in terms of people in the area feeling good about this roster. And, this is, they shouldn't want anything to take away from that. And that shouldn't even be the main reason that they act in a certain way. They just need to do the right thing. I think that's what falls so hollow throughout a lot of the NFL with these situations. The wanting to protect a player and, going through your evaluations and examining the case however you see fit. But there's also the matter of how it's going to make people feel. And I think they need to be cognizant of all of these different things. Definitely not an easy situation for them, because they just decided on the rookie punter, but it's one that they really can't dawdle around with. And they need to figure things out quickly here.
Last thing for you here. How good do you think this offense can be with Josh Allen and company this year?
Yeah, it can be a really explosive offense. They have a lot of pieces that they've added. Gabriel Davis turns into, I think, one of their top second receiving options that they've had since Josh Allen has been their starting quarterback. They added James Cook as a threat out of the backfield, and having that explosive potential running back out of the backfield is something that this offense just hasn't had. They feel like this is a better offensive line than they've had in the past few years, a lot more athletic, and being able to implement some more zone blocking and some more pin and pull stuff than maybe some of their more power-based blockers that they had on the team before. So there's a lot of reason for optimism for this offense. But the one thing that I think everyone has to be kind of cognizant is that they're going to be having a first-time play caller in Ken Dorsey running the show, and it's some pretty big shoes to fill, especially when Brian Daboll did such a great job both developing Josh Allen and putting this offense in a position to be one of the most dynamic in the NFL. Now it goes on to someone who is a smart guy by all means, and everyone knows Ken Dorsey's pedigree as a a college player and what he did at the University of Miami and how he's worked his way up throughout the NFL in the coaching ranks. But this is still a different situation when you have a first-time play caller in that position for, what many people believe to be the Super Bowl favorite. So that's one area where things could go awry. But from a talent perspective, they are going to be fun to watch this season, and they're going to try to mix it up a little bit more.
Joe, great stuff. Really appreciate you taking time to join us this morning, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Joe Biscaglia from The Athletic, our guest here on Robbie and Rexroad. We'll take your thoughts, 615-737-1025 on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. More on the AFC coming up next. This is Robbie and Rexroad, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Get a king bed for a queen price at Mattress Firm and save up to $500 on top-rated brands like Sealy and Sleepy's.
Hey, football fans, Dak Prescott here. And I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DIRECTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
Hey everybody, Big Joe here for Apple Collision Centers. And I'm always on the go, but the distraction that an automobile accident causes could even slow my pace down to a stop. But my friend and CEO of Apple Collision Centers, Stan Harrison, has a plan to get you and I back on the road and fast.
We at Apple Collision Centers know you deserve the best quality service. We always recommend original equipment parts, and we use only the best Sherwin-Williams finishes. 3 convenient locations, Hendersonville, Gallatin, and Oak Hickory. And you can always visit us online for your estimate needs at applecollisioncenters.com.
Men, are you asking yourself questions like, why am I gaining fat? Why is my energy or sex drive down and maybe haven't been getting the exercise you need? If you want to get back to the man you used to be but just don't have that youthful energy, that edge you once had, you very well might have low testosterone. Low T causes all kinds of issues, from a reduced libido, lower drive, and bad sleep patterns to problems with muscle gain, bone density, and more. It may even contribute to erectile dysfunction, and if this sounds like you, it's probably time to get treated for your low T. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we've treated thousands of men for low T. We've seen them put on muscle, add to their energy, improve their sex lives, get better sleep, and just feel better. Plus, if you're like most men, you'll see results in only a few weeks. So make an appointment today and experience how testosterone therapy can truly change your life. Your initial appointment is only $99 with results in minutes. Call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra results vary.
The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the Game at 615-737-1025.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. Looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robbie and Rexroad on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robbie and Rexroad here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. I got some tickets to give away, a pair of tickets to see Spoon at the Ryman Auditorium coming up on Sunday, September 4th. Be caller number 3 at 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 will win a pair of tickets to see Spoon at the Ryman Auditorium coming up on Sunday, September 4th, 615-737-1025. Thanks to Joe Biscaglia from The Athletic for joining us in the last segment. Joe, it kind of feels like this is the year for the Buffalo Bills. And I do wonder, when you're the Super Bowl favorite, when you're viewed as the team to beat, how do you handle that? I mean, for the last few years in the AFC, it's been Kansas City that's kind of been the one that's viewed that way. And they're still certainly in that category. There's a couple different teams you can look at. There's a lot of teams in the AFC I think can win a Super Bowl, but I think Buffalo is the favorite at the moment. How do you go about handling that? And as Joe pointed out in the last segment, probably not going to find a more talented group for the Buffalo Bills than you will this year with Josh Allen and the money that he's going to make down the road.
Right. No, I mean, it's to me, I think this is the clear favorite to win it and to win the Super Bowl. I really do. Based on, and Josh Allen is better than I ever would have guessed that he would become. It is a great point by Joe about play caller OC though. And that is, if it doesn't work out, I think that's where a lot of people are going to focus, and it's understandable. Around here, it's 1 year, and there are a lot of other things involved, including Tannehill's just own performance. But boy, does he look different in Nashville so far with Arthur Smith as his OC and with Arthur Smith not as his OC. And so Brian Daboll obviously coming in here with the Giants week 1. How much do they feel that loss? But I also don't expect Josh Allen to fall off the table, and I think that a lot of the work that Daboll did sticks, right? That's what you assume. I thought Josh Allen, even as a pick, I didn't like it, and then as a rookie, remember the Titans went down there, and that dude couldn't throw an accurate 15-yard pass downfield that day. They somehow
won. Awful his rookie year.
He was horrific. I mean, they won that game because Nick Williams drops a touchdown pass from Mariota, and because Josh Allen was able to like goad the Titans into a personal foul out of bounds on a run. I mean, like seriously, I was like, this is just gonna be a terrible pick for them. So he's, to me, the ultimate example of and I think for the most part it's true. Like, you're not really going to change someone's shot form at a certain age. You're not really going to dramatically increase someone's quarterback's accuracy at a certain age. He's proof that you can rework things and actually really change someone over, even post college and while they're professionals. But if he plays like he did for most of last year, and then as Joe broke down some of the additions, and then I think their defense looks salty. I mean, I think this is the best team.
Not great news if you're a Titans fan wanting a Buffalo Bills offensive lineman. It sounds like 3 former Titans going to be of significant use to them this year, with Saffold, David Questenberry, and our good friend Bobby Hart as well.
That was really interesting. And especially first of all, the Bobby Hart aspect of it, the fact that sounds like he's a lock to make the team. So he's, I guess, not going to be passed to different teams this year, perhaps. But the Questenberry too. The Questenberry is their clear 6th lineman and has been getting a lot of ones reps. It's just interesting. You look back at the Titans now, and it's like, okay, so are they going to be better at right tackle than they were with Questenberry last year?
That's interesting. I mean, I was looking through Biscaglia's Twitter, and 2 days ago, there was a question to Sean McDermott of how much has Bobby Hart improved, and McDermott's response was, quote, immensely. So now Bobby Hart, that sounds to me, it kind of supports what he was talking about there, that he's definitely going to be a part of this team. So, for as far as familiar guys, you're looking around and saying, I look more and more at that David Questenberry contract and like, maybe they should have picked him back up and brought him back in here.
Well, and then Dennis Kelly before that.
Yeah.
The Bills have all the linemen the Titans want, because I absolutely believe, for the Kappa's fake crowd, you know who you are, that the Titans, if they didn't have to do so, they had to make a couple cuts. And I think Saffold is absolutely the definition of cap casualty, just like Teron Armstead in New Orleans. They absolutely would love to have him still as their left tackle. I mean, there are cap casualties still in this league, even though the cap is very flexible. And I think the Titans would gladly have Roger Saffold. And look, if you want to go back before that, I think the Titans would gladly be paying Jack Conklin right now. If there was really no cap to worry about, and they'd have a much better offensive line.
Where's Josh Allen for you in terms of best quarterbacks in the NFL? Because I think he's ascending. There's guys like Burrow coming up, Herbert coming up, Mahomes is there, Rodgers is there, Tom Brady. Where's Josh Allen fit into that mix in your mind?
Good question. And now that you asked me that question, I'm interested to see. Do you remember where he ended up in Sandoz tiers?
I don't. I assume he's a tier 1 guy. I don't know exactly where.
Because I would have guessed. I guess I would have guessed that maybe. No, he did. So this year is his first year tier 1 with Sando. So if you go by the GMs, Rodgers, Mahomes, Brady, and then Allen. The GMs put him next, and I think a big thing with that is just look. It's not his fault that his defense freaking gave up an entire game in 2 seconds. That was a legendary Josh Allen moment right there for a team that was going to go to the Super Bowl. I know I say that, and I know Bengals fans will get mad to hear that, but that was a moment, and somehow he goes home after that. So I guess I could buy that. Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady, and then Josh Allen. I will say that I hesitate still, with to me, Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. I hesitate, and I'm not convinced that Joe Burrow, when it's all said and done, both careers, I think I might cast my lot with Joe Burrow's career.
Agreed.
I think he's so special. But he's also, Joe Burrow is a guy who's already had some injuries. He's got this and that going on, and he's not the athlete that Josh Allen is. So it's very close. But I think that's probably your top 5, right?
I think so. And I'm interested to see how that plays out and maybe shifts a little bit this year as the season moves along. Coming up next, there's a pretty interesting development yesterday in a practice between the Rams and the Bengals. We'll get to that coming up next, including could a premier player in the league be facing a suspension because of it? All that ahead. Make sure you join Joe Dubin and Elijah Campbell tonight for the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz presented by National Playmakers Academy from 6 to midnight. They'll preview the big games and then take you through the night of high school football around the mid-state. It's the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz presented by National Playmakers Academy on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. This is Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, Preds fans.
Running across to make the save is Sarah.
You can now hear Nashville's best sports talk.
The backhander, he scores!
And every Predators game on 106.3 FM.
Well, that was a thing of beauty.
From downtown Nashville to Rutherford and Williamson counties.
Duchesne with the overtime winner.
Catch all the action on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Hello, I'm Joe Cordell of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. Here are a few quick divorce tips that we provide our clients. Number 1, don't move out of your house just because your wife tells you to. Remember, that's your house too. And number 2, don't blow through the financial statements that you file with the court. These are key exhibits, and they often make or break your case. And number 3, watch the social networking. Expect your wife's lawyer to do a thorough online search. And incidentally, this is a two-way street. Now, a bonus tip. Partner with your attorney in assembling evidence. You're one of the 2 leading experts on your life and marriage. Your attorney needs your input to achieve your goals. And finally, talk to your attorney before taking action. Good luck.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Nashville area attorneys, a partner men can count on. Online at CordellCordell.com. Cordell & Cordell, 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067.
Save big this Labor Day at Electronic Express. Get a Samsung 65-inch 4K TV for only $5.99 or a Whirlpool 4-piece kitchen package for just $27.99. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, mattresses, and more. Don't miss out on an Acer gaming laptop for just $6.99 or a Google Nest Hub for only $54. Shop in-store or online with up to 36 months free financing. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and football is back, and you can kick off week 1 with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. All you got to do is sign up with promo code ROB to get in on the action. Then you can turn game day into payday all season long. I'm looking at Derrick Henry over on Rush.
Long weekends are all about getting a little you time. And at the Home Depot, you time means you building, you drilling, you doing, you recharging, you saving, and you going back for more. Do Labor Day your way and get a free 18-volt battery with select Milwaukee Power Toolkit purchases at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN. Welcome into Chase, Willy, and D-Mase.
Somebody company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have 2 choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators.
Scores!
Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey, this is Jordan Rogers, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Adam, what's going on out there?
Assault. Assault.
Welcome back in, Robbie and Rex Road here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Interesting day yesterday at Joe Rex Road at Rams and Bengals practice. A kerfuffle of sorts broke out between the Rams and the Bengals. Now, there are apparently a couple of minor pushing and shoving matches that took place before the big one yesterday. Then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose as the Rams defense was out there against Cincinnati's offense. And a big scrum ensues. There's pushing and shoving and punching left and right. And all of a sudden, with the video that we've seen out there, Joe, you look around and Aaron Donald's got a Cincinnati Bengals helmet in his hand, and he's swinging it around left and right. Aaron Donald eventually gets pushed to the ground and has the Bengals helmet with him as he falls to the ground. And then Sean McVay and Zach Taylor call practice. Practice is over with at that point, and that was that. And I guess they move on from there. It is interesting because Myles Garrett got suspended 6 games a few years ago for taking his helmet and hitting Mason Rudolph over the top of the head with it. Now, that was in an actual game. And typically when fights like this happen at practice, the NFL usually leaves it up to the teams themselves to determine what a punishment should or should not be. So, Joe, with that being the case, I don't expect anything to happen to Aaron Donald here because I doubt very seriously the Rams are going to be like, you know what? I think we should probably suspend Aaron Donald for 5 to 6 games because of what he did in the Bengals practice. But it is interesting. Like, he is swinging a helmet around out there at people. So what do you make of this situation yesterday at Rams practice with Aaron Donald? And do you think there's a chance that anything actually comes from this?
I think something should come from this. And it's a little different. Obviously, there was the Garrett Rudolph thing. There was more contact than I could tell on this. Although it's kind of hard to tell from the videos I've seen. That is horribly dangerous and ridiculous behavior. And I know it's also, maybe it's a fool's errand to sit here and talk about the NFL jumping in and doing a great job of disciplining someone. But I feel like this is warranted interjection by the NFL right here. Because like you said, the Rams sure as hell aren't going to do anything. I mean, that's dangerous. And fights happen, and they happen. And I mean, more of these, very few of these joint practices go all the way through without some kind of pushing, shoving, even sometimes punching a little bit. I mean, it happened here briefly between the Bucs and the Titans. But what I saw in that video, I think he should get at least a couple games of suspension from the NFL.
I think you should too. I mean, you can't just go around swinging helmets at people. And look, I realize that, the other people have helmets on too, but you can't just start swinging at people. Like, it's one thing to get in a fight at a preseason practice. Like, that happens. It's a very common thing. Usually the coaches do a good job of getting in there and break it up before it gets too far out of control. I will say this one was this is a pretty good one yesterday in terms of this. Even, the helmet aside, it was a pretty good brawl out there yesterday between the Rams and the Bengals. But you can't just allow people to run around and swinging helmets at people left and right. Like, I think he should be suspended. I just have zero confidence that that's going to happen in this situation. Absolutely zero.
Yeah, well, it's not exactly a great time for the NFL. I'm sure the NFL, would love to have a little time off from being asked to, and now, by the way, this horrific situation with Ariza and Buffalo, which, again, that's, I reading between the lines of what Joe said on the segment, to me, man, I understand it's an investigation ongoing, but if you read the details, including like Ariza telling this girl to check for venereal diseases, which was part of a police interview or part of an interview that she did that was supervised, you better cut that guy. But so the NFL is looking at that situation now too, and a mess, just awful. But yeah, I think you're probably right that nothing comes of this. I think that I think it should. It's going to be interesting to see because that really is really, really dangerous. I mean, Aaron Donald, the force he brings already, and now he's swinging a helmet. I don't understand. I mean, that's crazy to me. That and think about the deal that was made, understandably so, that night with Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
I in fact, the next day I was filling in for Floyd, and Jared and I legitimately talked for all 4 hours about that moment.
Yeah. It's kind of incredible. But yeah, you did. And look, I mean, for Aaron Donald, like, I understand you get heated. And look, this is not the first time that Aaron Donald has been involved in not necessarily something like this, but he's been involved in some pushing and shoving and some brawls before in practice for the Rams. It's no different from the standpoint of Jeffrey Simmons tends to be involved with the Titans as well. I've never seen Jeffrey Simmons swing a helmet. Like, I understand it's emotional and you're in a situation where your emotions are running high and you're trying to win a fight. You can't just go around. You got to have more control over yourself than swinging helmets left and right. So, like, if you're Sean McVay today, realizing that you're probably not going to suspend your best player, I am interested to see, like, what does Sean McVay do in this situation? Is there anything you can do that really makes that big of a difference? Because this is unacceptable behavior from Aaron Donald. You can't just go around swinging helmets left and right.
Here's what Sean McVay will do. He will rationalize not disciplining Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Or, he's suspended for a couple practices. Yeah, that'll be. But to your point, yeah, Jeffrey Simmons, every time one of these things happens, and Jeffrey Simmons plays on the edge, it's part of why he's a great player. But every time one of these practices happens, just watch 98. Because if anything's going to flare up, it's probably going to be right around where he is. But I would never expect him to be swinging a helmet at someone.
No.
I mean, I guess I'd like to see everything that preceded that. And not to say that anything would excuse it, but I guess I'd still like to have a little more context on all that went on. But, like, how do you get to the point where you're doing that? Like, at any level of football, fights happen. And some of the dumbest things are when people are punching guys who have their helmets on, right?
It's my favorite thing in sports.
Yeah, it's like, don't do that. But to get to the point where you're wildly swinging that thing around, you could, I don't want to be too dramatic here, but you really could, with that kind of strength as a human being, could kill someone.
Yeah.
If you hit someone, an unhelmeted person with a helmet, with the kind of force that you have in your body, you could kill someone. And that's to me, that just shouldn't be completely overlooked here.
Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Adam from Portland. Adam, what's going on?
Robbie, Joe, what's up, buddy? Man, I hope you guys have a good weekend. There's a part of this that's not being spoken of, and I think it's really important, which is what who and what was said to Aaron Donald, because that is insanely impressive that you can get somebody who's so important and making so much money to go feral like that, just snap and, start, throwing care to the wind. I'm just going to kill this person right now with a helmet. Like, that is a skill to be able to make somebody break like that. Like, I think whoever it is, like, that should be trained. Like, if you can get people to act out like that, they're not going to play their best football. So, I'm looking at it from that point of view. I'm like, God, that dude said something to him. I want to know what it is.
Hey, thanks for the call, Adam. I mean, to your point, Joe, like, I would like to know what preceded it, but there's not really much out there that could have preceded it that you look around and say, all right, yeah, just start swinging that helmet left and right. By the way, Aaron on the text line says Aaron Donald will be suspended for the final preseason game that he wasn't going to play in anyway. That may be what happens.
There you go. That's McVay's. We're going to suspend him for a game. Which game? Well, we got a game. Got a game this weekend.
Got a game this weekend, man. He's not going to play.
Sit your butt down. He was going to play a whole half, at least. Yes, we've got a few responses like that on the text line. Yes, I like it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, Aaron Donald's a great player. It's not a great look for Aaron Donald. Hopefully it's a one-time thing, and this is the last time something like this ever happens. But, I understand the policy if you're the NFL. Like normal training camp fights, I probably agree with it. Just let the teams handle it. To me, this doesn't really fall under the purview of a normal training camp fight. Like, I think at some point, like, it may behoove the NFL to step in and be like, we're not going to tolerate anybody swinging helmets. We don't care if it's at practice, in a game, in a preseason game, on the way out of the tunnel into the practice field. You start swinging helmets and there's video of it, we're going to step in and do something about it. That probably needs to be the policy by the NFL.
Right. And people are replying on the text line correctly. The CBA dictates practice stuff, handled by teams. I think when there's footage of things like this, I think that, the NFL oversteps all the time and does whatever it wants to do all the time. So I think that there'd be some support for some level of NFL involvement. I mean, maybe it's even someone calling, the Rams and saying, look, you guys got to give him a couple games for this, And of course the Rams do not want to do that at all. But I hope that this doesn't just go away. Cause like when you go back to the Myles Garrett thing, a big part of that discussion then was like, something has to be a deterrent to this because they worked out okay. Mason Rudolph was okay, but like, there's got to be something really big here to deter this from ever happening. It's insane to me that people would ever have the impulse of swinging their helmet at other people. Like, you got to make it so that they know there is no way you can even think about doing that, even though they should already know that because of the damage it can do.
Tune in for Nashville Sounds baseball tonight at 5:35 on 94.9 The Fan. The Sounds are on the road taking on the Durham Bulls, the AAA affiliate of the Tampa Bay Rays. Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza and Farm Bureau Health Plans. We'll have Caleb Farley, Titans cornerback, coming up at 8 o'clock here on the show. Coming up next, it's time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You're listening to Robbie and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Silly Underdog Picks is back. Get your friends and sign up today at theGameNashville.com. Pick the 3 football underdog teams each week you think will win for a chance to win weekly prizes. Like a pair of tickets to a sporting event or to a concert in Nashville. Oh, yeah! Go to theGameNashville.com or the Game Nashville app and sign up and play now. Then tune in every Thursday at noon for our expert picks. Silly Underdogs is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Forecast calling for a high temperature right near 90 degrees this afternoon. A little more humidity than yesterday and a few more pop-up showers and storms afternoon through the evening, but no severe weather is expected throughout the day.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the happy face truck today.
Hey, Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. It's back to school season, and Hiller is giving you free backyard upgrades all month long. Tackle those necessary home replacements in August to take advantage of these special deals, like a free Yeti Tundra cooler with the purchase of a new tankless water heater, a free Traeger wood pellet grill with the purchase of a new whole home generator, and also Hiller's going to keep you cool for back to school with special limited time financing promotions on these HVAC replacements. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Happy you'll be, or the service is free.
Have you seen the selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches they now have at Genesis Diamonds? If not, prepare to be amazed.
If people really know the watch world, they come in and they're in shock. They're like, I cannot believe you have this selection here. They're able to see them, touch them, feel them.
Meet Genesis watch expert Charlie Rivers, who says over the past few years, Genesis buyers have scoured the world to build a collection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes, including all the hard-to-find models.
Daytonas, Pandas, Sky Dwellers, a huge selection of Submariners, Hulks, Kermits, anything that you could ever possibly want. We have every luxury pre-owned Rolex that we have here. We ensure that it's in pristine condition.
So come in today and find the timepiece of your dreams at Genesis. Or if you already own a Rolex and are looking to trade for a different model or even sell it, Genesis can help you get top dollar.
If you have a Rolex, definitely bring it in. I would love to see it and do a complimentary evaluation on it and see what we can do for you.
Genesis Diamonds, now with one of the largest selections of luxury pre-owned Rolexes in America. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Other banks go out of their way to make redeeming credit card rewards needlessly complicated, like how they require minimums or force you to use your rewards before reaching some arbitrary expiration date. But Discover isn't like that. With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount, at any time. So you'll never have to jump through hoops. Unless you're like a trapezist, then by all means, go right ahead. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Informative.
They played a lot of power play time together back in the day.
Insightful.
It's a great addition to this team.
And just three guys being dudes.
On the sideline in shorts and a t-shirt.
Hanging out, watching the game.
Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
No such thing as bad press.
On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
The time is now for the Rex Rant.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
On Robbie and Rex Road, here on ESPN, 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The driving cat who could drive a car. He drives around.
And it is that time of the day, time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode here on 102.5 The Game. You can catch it every morning at 7:45 here on the program. Joe Rexrode, a big day, big week full of Rex Rants for you. I turn things over to you.
Yeah, you guys are rant-free this week. I'm glad life's just going wonderful for you two.
It's been a pretty good week, man.
Just get it out, Rexrode.
A bully for you. So less than 5 hours from now, we have our window. You get a half-hour window at Holden Hall at Michigan State to move in our son Jack. So you get the half hour, you get the sweet parking spot, and apparently that's the half hour. You get the tubs too. You get the big tubs. Put a bunch of stuff in. So
first off, that's some pressure to get all that done in a half hour.
Yeah, well, I mean, right? Yeah, and then it'll be interesting. I'll be very interested to see, like, is everybody else following along with just a half hour and they're out of there? Like, is it being enforced? I mean, to get the big stuff in, that should be fine. If you actually get a good spot, you get a tub, yeah, it should be fine. And then, you can stay in there and do whatever you want in your room forever. But yeah, so anyway, we're less than 5 hours from saying goodbye to our oldest child. And so I think it's only fitting that this rant is me giving advice for my son. But I hopefully this can apply to anyone starting college. I guess it's not like he's listening to me right now. I think is he still sleeping? Probably. So I guess I'll tell him these later. And this may be bad advice, but what the hell? So here we go. Never schedule a class before 10:20 a.m. if you can help it.
Yes.
Amen.
Hydrate. Mix in the waters. Always chain your bike, even if you're late to class. Be prompt. Don't be late to class. Respond promptly to emails or people reaching out about various things. Respond, even if you don't have an answer. Say, hey, I don't have an answer. Thanks for emailing me. I'll get back to you. Talk to different kinds of people. Get involved and do things for other people. Go listen to a guest speaker on a random topic. Go see bands you've never heard of. Eat food you've never tried before. Do not ever drink Milwaukee's Best. Do not eat a bunch of jalapenos and then slam a huge glass of whole milk unless you are able to sit there for a few moments afterward.
The buzz is worth it.
Clean your bathroom more than once a semester, for crying out loud. Call your mother. Read things other than things that are on your phone. Go to professors' office hours, or at least speak to your professors other than stammering out answers when you're called upon in class. Take advantage of the starchy food in the dorm cafeteria. Embrace gaining that 20 pounds. And even though it fills you up, squirrel away those cookies and little cereal boxes for the dorm room. Take the napkin, go ahead, put it in your pocket. Yes, you want to do that. And yes, you will keep the phone finder app on your phone. Don't wash red and pink things with white loads, for the love of God. If you have a keg party at your house or apartment, make sure someone is in charge of guarding the tap. If you steal a keg tap, make sure you're with a large group of people. And finally, have the time of your life, because this will be stressful. It will be busy. There is pressure. But after this, it's bills and it's mortgages and job interviews. And if you're as blessed as we are, it's raising kids like you. So
I knew we'd get there at some point this week. It's an emotional time for Joe Rexroad this week. Proud of Jack, though. It's a big day for Jack, and we're excited for him moving into Michigan State. It's going to be a fun time. Look, Michelle, I think the number one thing I miss about college, and Joe just brought it up there, and I didn't recognize it at the time, the ability to just walk into a cafeteria and get whatever food that you wanted to get and just do it is amazing to me. And now, as we sit here today, I'm at the age of almost 30. Why I didn't appreciate that more back in the day than I do now is just unbelievable to me.
Listen, I would get stir fry and then also pizza and a chicken patty with a salad. You have so
metabolism
many different
too. That's the other thing.
Options. But I think also too, just on the college point, first off, the things I would do to go back to college, it was amazing. But I think being like kind of freshly out of it, I guess you could say, is you look back and you realize like, damn, that was so awesome. And I'm so thankful for my family and parents for making me, be able to go to college and stuff, because some people aren't awarded that. But it's going to be an amazing, Jack is going to grow so much. Just an awesome time here on the program.
LD from McMinnville on the text line says, good rant, solid advice. We just moved our sixth and youngest into ETSU this past week. The sixth and youngest, hashtag empty nest. Rob from Clarksville on the text line says, Milwaukee's Best slander will not be tolerated on this beautiful Friday morning. This from Rob from Clarksville on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Well, let me just say, and boy, sorry that, I really didn't think that was going to happen, but let me just say.
I did. I knew it would happen at some point this week.
When I was 18 years old, my stomach was like, it was absolutely impenetrable. Okay. Like, you compare stomach strength and endurance and just ability. Like, okay, back then, hot sauce, habanero, jalapeno, whatever you got. Yes, load it on. Hottest food you get, whatever you want, like anything you could think of. Iron stomach. Okay, 18 years old. Milwaukee's Best destroyed it.
Is that a beer? I don't even know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, and then it's probably, I'm sure like it's different now, but at that time period, essentially for the most part, keggers at Michigan State in the 90s would have Milwaukee's Best. It was the cheapest keg you could get at the keg store.
It's very efficient from a money standpoint.
Natty Lights too.
Yeah, and it's a similar quality, but honestly, that Natty Light's fine. Now, if you get when a little bit fancy, then you got the Busch Light. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Now, here and there, if someone had like Bud Light or Milwaukee MGD, Miller Genuine Draft, or Ice House or something, and that's like, whoa, man, whoa, take it easy. Milwaukee's Best was the standard, and if I had one of those right now, I'd probably internally combust.
I have one to add to your list.
So
Joe.
not only did Rob from Clarksville not going to be very happy with Joe, he just continued on the Milwaukee's Best slander.
Well, I'm impressed with you. You're a beyond the human race if you can handle it. All right, go. What do you got, Michelle?
Go ahead, Michelle.
Do not drink the jungle juice out of the bathtub.
Oh, that's probably good advice.
Yes.
That's
or out of the garbage can.
Yes, right. And
good job, do it, Kentucky.
Yeah. Yep. Let's drink it out of canned or bottles. I think that's a good, or kegs, I guess.
Yeah, and just kind of know what's going in. I think is probably a good. That's kind of a catch-all, right?
Yes, that's a good one.
Because that stuff can be made to taste basically just like Kool-Aid, with some of the worst quality liquors in the world.
Yeah. Cole from Clarksville on the text line says Joe needs to give his son enough weekly allowance to purchase beer better than Milwaukee's Best and Busch Ice. Now we're getting into encouraging illegal behavior on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Well, hey, he's got a job, so
that's right.
That's what he's got employment, so that's a good thing.
That is a very good thing. I'm sitting here, I'm thinking back, like now that you brought up the stomach thing, like it's incredible how much I used to be able to eat in a day and not think twice about it. That may be the thing about being younger that I miss the most. I could just eat whatever I want to with zero fear of consequence.
Yes. No, I mean, it's amazing. And metabolism at that age. Yeah, I mean, I know it's different for different people, but Jack's kind of like me, like at some point he will be able to put weight on. I still couldn't when I went to college. And then, I very much could. College made that very possible.
Congratulations to Jack. Got a lot of people, according to the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, going through a similar experience as you are, Rex Road, this year and this week. So congratulations to all those freshmen going into the world of college. We wish you the best, and we'll always be here for you on Robbie and Rex Road. Only program in town that's here for you.
There's a lot of good stuff on the text line, by the way. Keith's talking about OE.
Yeah.
Don't even get into that. So
this has been the Rex Rant with Joe Rexroad. You can check it out every morning at 7:45 here on the program. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Titans cornerback Caleb Farley. Looking forward to that. This is Robbie and Rexroad, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
The MTSU Blue Raiders live here. In the borough, tune us in on 97.5.
In the end zone, caught, touchdown!
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Kenny Mayne here with this declaration for new Caesars Sportsbook app users from Caesar. Your first bet's on us, is what Caesar told me to say. That means if you don't win, you get up to $1,250 back as a free bet. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app and sign up with the code RADIOFULL.
Open to new users in Tennessee who are 21 or older. Qualifying bet loses. Bet amount returned as a credit. Must use within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Papa Roach. Falling in reverse. The Rockzilla Tour with very special guests, Hollywood Undead and Bad Wolves. This Wednesday, Nashville Municipal Auditorium. Papa Roach. Falling in reverse. On sale now at LiveNation.com.
The Labor Day event from Dell Technologies is here. End the summer strong by starting up a new season of productivity. Your business upgrade begins with up to 48% off top-rated laptops like Vostro, taking performance to the next level with 12th Gen Intel Core processors. It's time to push your growing business even further. What's next for you? Upgrade today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. 877-ASK-DELL.
When you bundle your renters and auto insurance with Progressive, you could save money, but it doesn't cover any terrible memories living rent-free in your head.
Hey, just wanted to remind you of that time your kicker missed the extra point and lost the game. Even though he literally never missed an extra point, he chose this playoff game to miss. Yeah, I just noticed you hadn't thought about that in a bit. Wouldn't want you to miss, thinking about it.
Sorry, we can't save you from that memory, but we could save you money bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Renters insurance and bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Long weekends are all about getting a little you time. And at the Home Depot, you time starts with you saving. Saving space with an HDX 27-gallon Tough Tote for only $13.98. Saving time with a free and fast-charging 18-volt battery when you buy select Milwaukee Power Toolkits. And saving you a trip with free delivery on over 1 million items. Do Labor Day your way with savings right now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Listen to Stillman & Company with me, Caroline Fenton, all season long on ESPN 1025 The Game for your chance to win Nashville Sounds tickets courtesy of 312 Pizza Company in Germantown.
The Labor Day event from Dell Technologies is here. End the summer strong by starting up a new season of productivity. Your business upgrade begins with up to 48% off top-rated laptops like Vostro, taking performance to the next level with 12th Gen Intel Core processors. It's time to push your growing business even further. What's next for you? Upgrade today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. 877-ASK-DELL.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Chase Elliott scores the win in the Ally 400 at the Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game.
Checker flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun.
On your morning drive. This is Robbie Rexroad. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Welcome back in. Hour number 3 of Robbie and Rexroad here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexroad. Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. We'll be joined shortly by Titans cornerback Caleb Farley. Looking forward to that. Taking your thoughts as well on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. Joe, I think all in all, it has, to me anyway, like if you're a Titans fan, I think you've got to be pretty encouraged with the camp that Caleb Farley has had thus far.
Yeah, no, I do too. It's been, I think I'd say a very encouraging camp.
Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, speaking of, and welcome in Caleb Farley here on the program, Titans cornerback. Caleb, what's going on? How we doing?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
We're great. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. So, Caleb, to that point, how do you think camp has gone for you thus far? What have been, I guess, some of your big takeaways for the past few weeks?
I feel like I've had a good camp. I don't think I've had a perfect camp, but I feel like I've had a really good camp. So I'm feeling good going into the season.
Yeah, and of course, as you know, Caleb, it was never going to be perfect. And that position is we talk about corners and we talk about offensive linemen way more when they make mistakes, right? Like if someone doesn't throw your way, no one ever talks about it. But
exactly.
What specific aspects of playing the position did you prioritize going into camp, and where are you on putting all those things together?
That's the thing right there. Just about being consistent and putting everything together, each play, every play. Not being locked in on a couple things here and there, but actually just kind of trying to understand the broad everything you're supposed to be doing at one time, just throughout the game, different situations, different, down and distances, things like that.
Caleb, how beneficial have the preseason games themselves been for you? Getting in there, being in full contact, and getting some significant playing time there.
I've just been so grateful just to be having fun again. Just not saying practice isn't fun, but just to be able to play games and run around and celebrate and have fun with your teammates again has been a blessing.
So obviously, Caleb, you had the ACL early last season, and then you go through the long rehab process. But if you could go to before that, let's say basically a year ago, in every aspect of the game, the mental side, strength, even like your speed and athleticism, all that stuff. How different are you now in all those aspects than you were then?
I would say, I feel good. I had a better off season to kind of run and work out this off season. I still wouldn't say I had, like a full off season. A blessing would be able to finish a season healthy and train and be able to work your techniques and things like that from already healthy. You know what I'm saying? And really be able to put in work. I kind of had to just take it slow this off season and do what my body would let me. But I still feel good. I was able to build myself back up, somewhat. And I had a goal coming into camp to finish every practice. And, thank God I was able to do that. So that's just a start. And I just want to be out there, continue to gain experience and play my butt off with my teammates. And I feel like everything else will take care of itself.
Titans cornerback Caleb Farley on with us here on Robbie and Rexroad. So, Caleb, you've been going up against, obviously, the Titans group of receivers a lot thus far. What have been your impressions on the type of room that you guys have at wide receiver?
I feel like we have a big, fast, strong, physical room that, does everything the way Coach Grebel wants them to do it. The competitors, the great hands, being able to catch contested balls, and I'm excited to see to watch my teammates perform, and and for us to just get this thing rolling.
So Caleb, obviously, McCreary has come in, and I feel like there's a little bit of interchangeability there. Obviously he's been inside and outside, and then Molden's been in and out a little bit. We know Christian Fulton is had a really good second year last year and is on the other side. Just in terms of the flexibility of you guys at corner to maybe even do different things based on matchups in a particular week. I don't know how much you guys have talked about that, because right now it's just getting ready for a season and then you get into game planning. But what do you think about that versatility and just kind of different kinds of guys to match up with different kinds of receivers?
I feel like we have a lot of guys that can do a lot of great things. And, in all honesty, my mindset, I just been showed up, focused on getting better, improving. I may have opinions on things like that, but it's really not my job to, tell and give my opinions on those type of things. So I just let coach, handle all of that. And I just show up and work, and, whatever they end up deciding on how they want to use me or use any of the guys, for any given Sunday, that's what we'll do, and we'll try to execute the game plan to the best of our ability to win games.
So, Caleb, rumor has it you were a big Floyd Mayweather fan growing up. Number one, is that true? And number two, did you ever consider boxing at any point?
A huge Floyd fan, since I was a little kid. I never really seriously considered boxing. I had already fell in love with football when I was like 6 years old. But I was just a huge Floyd fan, the whole character, it was just, it was awesome to see somebody dominate, at the highest level and just be themselves and be funny. And, it really was something out of a movie to me. So I've always been a huge Floyd fan.
Caleb, everybody talks about culture. Just wondering from your perspective, how would you describe the culture that Mike Vrabel has established? What is it like playing for him, and what's it like in that building on a daily basis?
I feel like, just from what I've learned from him, it has been a lot of great things. I feel like he pushes guys to work harder for the man next to him. It's a selfless culture. It's a earn everything culture. It's a hard work culture. It's a respect to the game and to the NFL type of culture, and it's just hard work. You can't replace it. You got to put the work in.
Caleb Farley on with us here on Robbie and Rex Road. So Caleb, as you're getting ready here for your second season, how much of an influence has Kevin Byard been on you in terms of just the advice he's given, the way that he prepares, everything that he brings to that room there with the secondary?
Iron sharpens iron. KB is a great guy, great teammate, and he holds me accountable. I know what's expected of me, and I don't want to let those guys down. And it's not just as much as giving up a play. That's going to happen. It's just more of like being locked in and not being locked in. When you're giving it your all, you're working hard, and you're flying around. Guys can live that, but we can't accept nothing less. Than just playing with all you got.
When you give up a play at that position, how difficult is it to erase instantly and be locked in on what's next?
I feel like it used to be, kind of like get me frustrated, get me wired up. But I think that was just because I was trying to, make plays. And, I really got a lot of confidence flowing and going into the season. And, I really don't care about it, to be honest. I kind of in that mindset where, I do what I do. I'm ready for whatever. And, if I get beat, I don't even remember what you're talking about.
So, Caleb, with that in mind, as you guys get set for the final preseason game tomorrow against Arizona, and then get ready for the real thing coming up in a couple of weeks, what are a couple of things that you're focusing on as the regular season draws nearer here?
Just trying to be smooth and just trying to execute everything. I'm trying to, have good awareness, have really good awareness of with what's going on and being in the present. That's really, I'm just trying to, take advantage of anything that comes my way that I'm able to affect the game and help the team on.
Caleb, when this defense is all put together for regular season games at all three levels, the guys you have, the experience, the ability, what do you think this defense can be as a whole this season?
I believe in our guys, and I feel like we can be as good as we want to be, and we just got to work hard, keep our heads down, not get too high, not get too low, and just keep our heads down and work hard and be consistent. And at the end of the season, we'll be able to look back and see where that got us. I've got all the belief in the world in my guys.
Well, Caleb, we're really excited to watch you play this year. Good luck coming up here tomorrow against Arizona and as you get ready for the season. And thanks so much for taking time to join us this morning.
I appreciate you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Caleb Farley, Titans cornerback, our guest here on Robbie and Rex Road. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. More on the Titans defense coming up next. This is Robbie and Rex Road, 1025-1063, The Game.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN
1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Now at Lowe's, order any flooring like Stainmaster Pet Protect carpet, starting at $185 per square foot. See in-store associate or product detail page for warranty information.
Hey football fans, Patrick Mahomes here, and I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Long weekends are all about getting a little you time. And at the Home Depot, you time starts with you saving. Saving space with an HDX 27-gallon Tough Tote for only $13.98. Saving time with a free and fast-charging 18-volt battery when you buy select Milwaukee Power Toolkits. And saving you a trip with free delivery on over 1 million items. Do Labor Day your way with savings right now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the Endless Summer Sale, August 26th through September 5th, and get 30% off paints and stains with prices starting at $29.39. That means 30% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, 30% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Well, you've got the whole world listening. What do you got to say?
Never miss a moment of the show. Subscribe to the Robbie and Rex Road podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robbie and Rex Road here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Our coverage of Titans training camp presented by Parman Energy, your one-stop petroleum solution. Thanks to Caleb Farley for joining us in the last segment. Joe, I'm interested to see how the Titans handle the cornerbacks tomorrow. You think Caleb Farley gets significant playing time in this game coming up tomorrow? I mean, it is the third preseason game, and you got the regular season just a couple of weeks away now. He's played a pretty good amount through the first 2 games. I wonder if that remains the same tomorrow against Arizona.
My guess is no. My guess is defensive starters aren't going to be out there. So could be wrong because those guys have played by far more than anybody else. And really, I mean, Dupree was out there a little bit last game, but really, defensive starters remind me here was Byard hasn't played a series yet, has he?
No, Hooker did.
Hooker did play one in the first game. So basically, it's been the corners, and you could make the case, hey, get them more work, different looks. It may not be starters, but it's work. I'm just going to guess that it's all backups, really on both sides of the ball. Now, you can't totally go all backups with the offensive line, I don't think. So I think we'll probably see some Petit Frere, some Radens, maybe a little Brewer. I mean, I think you can definitely forget about Lawan being out there, forget about Nate Davis. And Nate Davis has been banged up. Forget about Ben Jones, but maybe some Petit Frere and Brewer in terms of starters. And I don't think you'll see Hilliard. I don't think you'll see Westbrook Akina or Woods or now one interesting one is Burks. Burks is an interesting one because I think every single rep that guy can get probably has some value right now. So maybe they see if they can get him free, make some plays, build some confidence.
Well, can he get on the field? That's the thing.
That's true. And also that's the thing. So he's been banged up. So is he, I mean, unless it's like totally all good, then you're not going to mess with that tomorrow either. So slim pickings would be my guess.
That's going to be, I'm sure, a wonderful viewing experience for all of us on Saturday to watch the Titans take on the Cardinals in this preseason game. The more that camp goes on here, Joe, the more I'm opening up my, I guess, the possibility that maybe it's both Farley and McCreary starting to begin the season against the Giants. Like with Molden being as unavailable as he's been throughout camp thus far, would it make sense for McCreary to be out there to begin with inside? I mean, I don't know. I'm really interested to see how that part of it plays out when they take on New York in a couple weeks.
Yeah, very. I am too, because one thing you hear a lot from cornerbacks is there's a simplicity. Now there's still different coverages and different calls and all that stuff, but there's a simplicity about playing outside corner relative to slot corner a lot of times in the league. So, and McCreary has worked primarily. He's had a lot more reps at the slot, mostly because of Molden's injury. I think. I don't know. I'd love to know like where he would have gotten all his reps if Molden would have been there throughout. Would they still have like cross trained him the way they did? But if they feel like he's up to all the things that you have to keep track of in there, then I could see it. Remember the Cardinals did a nice job of picking on Molden for one of those touchdowns, one of their many touchdowns last year in the opener, as he got that start in the slot. I think it was Kirk, right? I think they cleared aside and got him, singled up with Kirk, and it was
probably got him a lot of his money down there in Jacksonville. So good for him.
Yeah, dropping the bucket for Kyler. If Molden is, I've always thought that if Molden was fine, that he's the guy in there. But do they feel comfortable with the rookie? I mean, he's gotten enough reps, and again, from my naked eye, he looks pretty good wherever he is lining up. So I know he's going to be a factor from day one.
Well, I feel like for rookies, it's hard to get Grebel to really say anything all that demonstrably one way or the other about you. Grebel for the last few weeks has been pretty darn consistent with his praise for Roger McCreary from the standpoint of just the way that he works, how competitive he is. And like you said, Joe, I mean, I think back to that game last week, there wasn't a whole lot of talk about Roger McCreary because they didn't throw the ball his way. Like that's a pretty good thing when you're not being spoken about as a corner. That's generally a pretty good thing while you're on the field.
Yeah, I mean, unless you sometimes you make plays, and so that's great. But yeah, I mean, it's Farley got heavy work that night, and he did some good things. And he got caught looking, and there was Scotty Miller, right, who got him on, and you get Scotty Miller, and what are you thinking? You're thinking, okay, it's going to be something short, and then he turned it up on him. And honestly,
I've seen Scotty Miller catch a long ball before.
Yes, you have.
Oh man,
we've all seen that. But Farley got all this work, and I'd say overall it was more good than bad, but I don't know if it's better than the guy who doesn't even get thrown at. I mean, McCreary looks pretty good out there. So it's going to be fascinating to see how they deploy those guys, and then just how they look in a real football game. There are much worse opponents that you could have started with to try to figure that out. And as I say that, we know Danny Dimes will now throw for 350 on him, but it's a pretty decent acclimate yourself to the NFL opener. And then the next week, Monday Night Football, enjoy that crew. You better be ready for that crew in week 2.
Well, the Giants may not have any players to play in the game.
It's
coming
incredible.
up in a couple weeks because
unbelievable.
It's been quite the training camp for them thus far up there in New York. So how many cornerbacks do you think that the Titans are going to keep, and who do you think those corners will be?
God, that's a great question. I mean, look, again, I think Shakur Brown was on his way to making the team, and then he gets, waived with an injury that he got in the second preseason game. Real tough break for him. So obviously we know the top four, and I'm going to put Chris Jackson fifth. He's back out there. He's a veteran. There's trust there. He can play whatever spots. I think he's fifth. And then do you keep six? And who is the sixth? Greg Maben has done some good things. Veteran. He's been on the team, off the team. Lonnie Johnson, recent pickup. BBN legend. I wouldn't rule him out. I mean, I've seen some decent stuff from Trey Avery out there. You got two Treys. You got Trey Avery. You got Trey Swelling. I would guess if it's a sixth that it would either be Maben or Lonnie Johnson would be my guess. But maybe that's the position. That's one of those positions where like, yep, can't do the six, so we can do in the three quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean that's. I keep going back to that. Like if they're doing the three quarterbacks, I'm really interested to see in their mind what position they're willing to sacrifice. And maybe it's not as specific as, oh, well, this is the position we feel like we can leave things out of. Maybe it's just the way their roster is constructed. But three quarterbacks, not very often do you see teams do that. If that happens with the Titans, what position group ends up being affected by it at the end of the day? I thought it was interesting to hear Caleb Farley kind of talk about how he views the defense, because I continue to think this defense is going to be really, really good. And I know that, we may not find out a whole lot in week one against the Giants, even though I know people around here getting nervous when you start overlooking people, and we're not going to do that. I promise when the Giants week rolls around. But right after that, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams is your back-to-back between the Bills and the Raiders. Very few people, I think, could cover them very long anyway, but I am interested to see if you're the Titans, how do you go about getting after those two guys with Diggs and Adams in weeks 2 and 3?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it gets serious, right away. And so much of that success or lack of success will be tied to the pass rush, of course. Because those guys are, I mean, you just, you can't play a ton of man. And now, if things work out best case scenario for this corner group, then a Farley can match up at times with certain guys, and maybe McCreary too. I mean, I think Fulton had a very good year last year. Fulton has had kind of an up and down camp, but I think he's CB1, and he's a guy who would probably draw the assignment when you're playing match coverage, in certain situations. But the idea is, what if they can match up at times, like in the red zone, you have to play man, and it's those three guys, or whichever three of those guys it would be, or whatever your dime package looks like. I mean, it could be a decent upgrade this year, but like you said, weeks 2 and 3, those could also be humbling experiences a little bit for some of these guys.
By the way, got a lot of people on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com asking about the Fantasy Football League. We have not given away today's spot yet. That's coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. So be listening in the 9 o'clock hour for another chance to win a spot in our Robbie and Rex Road Fantasy Football League. Looking forward to that. Coming up next, we'll be joined by our friend Teron Davenport, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter. You're listening to Robbie and Rex Road here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
This is Colton Sissons, and this is Smashville.
Feeds now, Sissons coming onto the left circle, and Colton Sissons puts it in the net.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 102.5, The Game.
Visit Samsung.com now to pre-order the new Galaxy Z Flip 4 or Z Fold 4 and get a free storage upgrade in case. Valid through 8/25/2022. See terms and conditions that apply.
Men, what if I told you that now you are able to get testosterone replacement therapy in the comfort of your own home? No more weekly trips to the doctor's office. We come to you 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Be seen by a licensed medical professional in the privacy and comfort of your own home or office. You decide. Schedule your appointment today at CoolSpringsMD4Men.com.
Celebrate back-to-school season with Hiller. This month only, get free backyard upgrades when you replace essential home systems like a free Traeger grill with a new whole home generator or a free Yeti cooler with a new tankless water heater. And Hiller's keeping you cool for back to school with zero interest financing for up to 12 months on select new HVAC systems. Visit happyhiller.com. Happy you'll be, or the service is free.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Paul Feinbaum here for the Southeast leader for cranes and equipment rental, Craneworks. The Craneworks team in Nashville, Birmingham, and Mobile is ready to make your next construction or maintenance project a big success. Give Craneworks a call for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project. And don't forget, RentalWorks has a full line of rental equipment for jobs both big and small, and now offering qualified operators for all equipment, including aerial and earth-moving equipment. Call Craneworks at 877-282-LIFT or visit them on the web at craneworks.com.
Hey folks, Joe Rexford here inviting you to kick off week 1 of the NFL season. It's so close with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code Joe102 to get on the action. You can turn game day into payday all season long. A lot of possibilities with the free bets. I will say locally here, I'd be looking at the Titans in that Giants game, looking at that spread. I think it looks good for betting on the Titans there. Play your way. Bet on more than just the final scoring wagers. Read everything from touchdown, total yards, catches, all kinds of prop bets. You can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. Don't fumble your chance to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, with promo code Joe102. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports partner of the NFL. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee for a sideline real money wager only. Only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issue is now withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Get me a problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
Papa Roach. Falling in reverse. The Rockzilla Tour with very special guests, Hollywood Undead and Bad Wolves. This Wednesday, Nashville Municipal Auditorium. Papa Roach. Falling in reverse. On sale now at livenation.com. Your home for Hit City is 94.9 The Fan.
Your Nashville Sounds continue their series at Durham. Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win. Pregame at 5:20.
On your home for Sounds baseball, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
This is Greg McElroy, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
ESPN's Turon Davenport, Talking Titans, now on Robbie and Rex Road on ESPN 102.5 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
Yes, sir. It is that time of the week to bring on our friend Turon Davenport. Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in, Turon Davenport, presented by Craneworks and RentalWorks, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit Craneworks.com. TD, what's up, man? What's going on?
Hey, good morning, fellas. What's going on?
Not a whole lot. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. So, TD, I'm interested to see who's playing and who's not tomorrow in this game against Arizona. But are there any position battles, anything in particular you're looking for in this game tomorrow that you think legitimately comes down to this game and the performance in the game?
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, the punting position, that's something I want to continue to watch, right? You got the sledgehammer versus the, I don't know what you call, what's a good golf club term. That's what you got with Stonehouse going against Brett Kern.
The pitching wedge.
Yeah, nice 7-iron.
It is.
Yep.
7-iron. The wedge, yeah. That's one. I'm curious, how that backup right tackle spot goes, right? I think it's pretty much Nicholas Petit-Ferrars. I think that's his position, the starter. But what happens behind there, as far as for guys like at the back end of the roster, is Andrew Ruppich, is Jalen McKenzie going to be able to get in? Like, how is that going to happen? So those are a few spots. For the most part, it seems like a lot of it, the spots are pretty much shored up. Watching Farley and McQuarrie, if they do play, that's one to watch too.
Well, somehow this week we got into giving percentage chance that Dylan Radins gets cut. So I guess I'll ask you, TD.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
So I'm guessing it's a low percentage.
Yeah, I mean they're not gonna cut him. Granted, you know he didn't have the best showing as far as the competition for the right tackle spot, but he's still someone that gives you depth. I mean, he could play both guard spots, either tackle spots. A guy that's able to man 4 different spots for you. He has some value. I mean, they're not going to cut him. They just drafted him in the 2nd round last year. Obviously, that didn't work out last year, and is off to a tough start this year. But I'd say 7% they cut him.
So
I'm just going to say, like, so say for sake of argument, there was somebody on our station that said 75% chance he gets cut. Maybe overestimating it a little bit.
Well, you know, I know Jared Stillman can get extreme, and I have to reel him in sometimes on the TD Power Hour or on Twitter, and that's just another example of it. He likes to fire those takes. I'll say it that way.
And it is. I think it is a Fireball Hot Take Friday, by the way. So great day for Jared. Yeah. Well, so I'm with you. I mean, I don't think there's much chance. I mean, to me, it's hard to like. Obviously, you're going to give that guy every chance to start, and they did. They poured a lot into him. They gave him a serious look and a ton of reps, and then it hasn't worked out. But like, how do it's like, how do you then just assume that some of these other guys who have just been with the twos the whole time would be ahead of him? You know, that's my thing, and versatility. So let's follow up on that, TD. Who do you think rounds out if he's the 6th guy, and we got the 5 who we assume are the starters? How many after that, and who would it be in your mind?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question right there. I think Corey Levin has secured himself a spot. Then it goes down to, Andrew Rupchich, Jalen McKenzie, who goes there. I think Jordan Roos is probably going to be in there. I have them keeping 9, but Roos and Levin are, in my opinion, guys who have spots, and then it's just going to come down to Christian Delorio, like somebody in that group is going to be their swing tackle as well.
Ron Davenport on with us here on Robbie and Rexro. TD, how concerned are you about Danico Autry and his lack of availability at camp thus far?
Yeah, he's been very limited. The good thing is you're seeing him get the conditioning and that stuff. He's doing that, whether it's riding the bike, working with the trainers, on the side. But I think there should be some concern, but the bottom line, he's a tenured veteran. It's not going to be difficult for him to be up and going. I would be very surprised if he doesn't play in a season opener, and I would be surprised actually if he doesn't start getting back onto the practice field as we're getting closer to game week.
What do you expect the Titans to do at quarterback Saturday, TD? And what do you look at what they do as possibly telling about how they're viewing those 2 guys and how things are going to turn out when they complete the roster?
Yeah, I think it's going to be another, Malik Willis start, and I think you're going to see split time between him and Logan Woodside, and I don't think it's going to be telling. In my opinion, they've kind of drawn the conclusion of what they're going to do, and I think they keep 3. And when you see Woodside being told that Willis is going to get the reps, that kind of lets me know, like, okay, look, mate, you're the number 2. We're just trying to work on developing Willis. We'll get you in there, but, we're going to work on developing Willis, but we're going to carry all 3. I think that's the way that they're looking at it.
Edie, what are a couple areas from Malik Willis that you've seen from your vantage point that have really improved thus far through camp?
Well, yeah, I mean, for starters, the whole operation, right? It's no longer any type of issue, him getting in the huddle with tempo and doing all that, calling the play. That's not an issue. Getting under center, being able to turn your back to the defense, flip the shoulders back around, find where you got to go with the football. That's all there. And you saw him do that, and I think that's a good thing. But most importantly is just that pocket understanding. I'm not going to call it awareness. It's understanding where he's obviously aware. Like, you look at the touchdown he threw to Okonkwo. He felt the pressure there on the outside, moved up and stayed in the pocket and delivered the ball. So that was a good thing. I think the processing is coming along and matching that with the footwork. Everything they said that he needed to work on, I've seen areas of improvement. So that's a really positive thing. Obviously, you still would like to see more progress, and it's just something that they're going to continue building on. But I've been impressed with him, and every once in a while, you get a throw where you're just like, oof, that's exactly why he was drafted,
Yeah, so as we get into the season, TD, because obviously a lot of this camp has been devoted to that. As we get into the season, I would expect Malik Willis at times to be helping the scout team and things like that. Obviously, he's going to be in the meeting rooms and going through the weekly process as an observer. Like how much of the process of trying to develop him into a starting quarterback takes place during the season?
I don't think much of it does. I think more or less from a personal development side of things and him making plays on scout team, that's going to help further uplift his confidence because it's already there. But he's not really going to get a lot of coaching. I mean, they got to focus on other things, so they can't really take time for the development there. But even just seeing everything happen, in person, seeing the speed, talking to Ryan Tannehill when he comes off the field and listening to the interaction that he has with Pat O'Hare. Well, he'll have the headset on, so he can listen to that. So that's something else. Coach O'Hare is in the booth, but still, just seeing all that, I think that's going to be a good thing. That's where the development will come, just from being in the environment.
Ron Davenport with us here on Robbie and Rex Road. So, TD, with that in mind, as week one approaches, based on what you've seen thus far in camp, what do you anticipate the role for Traylon Burks being early on in the season?
That's a tough question, because you still got to see if he could consistently be on the field. He's dealing with something on the left leg. So once that gets worked through, I think he can have a role. I think he's a guy that they'll move around. He'll be, one of the top options in that play-action glance route, to catch the ball, bounce off a defender, and take it the distance. And in my opinion, it's going to take one of those type of plays. Like something has to happen for him, a big play, and that's when the confidence and just the sense of belonging, he already has it, but it's just to take it to the next level. So I'm not going to say he's going to have, an A.J. Brown-like introduction. You know what I mean? We need to just leave those type of things out, but I think he's eventually going to come in and have a role, but he has to get healthy first.
Back around to the offensive line, TD. Nicholas Petit-Frere at this point, how would he compare to like Quessenberry a year ago? It sounds like Quessenberry is actually really impressing up in Buffalo. Now, what do you think? Step down, similar, step up eventually? Like how would you compare if that's what it is this year, Petit-Frere essentially replacing him?
Well, I mean, I think right now it's a step down because the inexperienced side of things. I mean, Quessenberry had 12 starts last year, or started every game last year, and I think it was half of the season at left tackle the year before. So you're losing all of those starts and the experience. That, in my opinion, is the difference. You more or less know what you have there with Quessenberry. I think with Petit-Frere, there's still, okay, what are we getting? That's what you're thinking. I have an idea what I'll get. I know this guy's going to get all the assignments down. He's very smart. But what am I getting on a play-to-play basis, especially in pass pro? That's the area where you got to really figure it out.
Ron Davenport, our guest here on Robbie and Rex Road, joins us every Friday morning. TD, great stuff as always, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us, and hope you have a great weekend.
All right, appreciate it. You guys take it easy.
That's with Ron Davenport, presented by Crane Works and Rental Works, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit craneworks.com. Coming up next, it's time for Call Your Shot Friday. We need your bold predictions in the world of sports. Hit up our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. That's next. This is Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Wide 85! Every team needs a quarterback.
Wide 85!
That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
How that team is built, I think there's a lot to like about them.
Every Tuesday at noon, Tim with Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. Presented by Red Spirit and Wine in Bellevue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Forecast calling for a high temperature right near 90 degrees this afternoon. A little more humidity than yesterday and a few more pop-up showers and storms afternoon through the evening, but no severe weather is expected throughout the day.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Pink Floyd's Roger Waters. This is not a drill.
We're doing a show in the round. It's something new. I look forward to the challenge.
Featuring his songs from the golden era of Pink Floyd. Saturday, August 27th, Bridgestone Arena. Tickets at rogerwaters.com.
This is not a drill.
Produced by AEG Presents.
Jewelry business, it's in my blood. I've been doing it all my life, and it's my passion.
Meet Daniel Sabalas, a third-generation jeweler at Genesis Diamonds.
This line of work, it's all about honesty and trust. It's about building relationships.
And that's what drew Daniel to Genesis, where it's all about education, transparency, and respect for each customer.
It's based on a family business mentality, and that's how we are. We're here to educate, to guide you, and we make it very easy. So we really go out of our way to educate customers in the right way. There's no stress level, there's no tension. The customer can feel that.
All this while providing the guaranteed best value price.
I've never seen a company that has the best price like this that I've seen anywhere. We are a powerhouse of diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds. No commission salespeople, no pricing games, no risk, no pressure, no cutting corners.
Genesis Diamonds is going to give you the best price, best quality, guaranteed, no matter what.
Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Long weekends are all about getting a little you time. And at the Home Depot, you time means you building, you drilling, you doing, you recharging, you saving, and you going back for more. Do Labor Day your way and get a free 18-volt battery with select Milwaukee Power Toolkit purchases at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Jared Stillman.
This is a team that the entire city is losing their minds over.
Caroline Fenton.
It's one of the youngest teams in the league. They don't have a single player over the age of 30.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
The sports weekend has arrived. You know what that means.
Shoot your shot.
It's time for Call Your Shot Friday with Robbie and Rex Road on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And it is that time of the week, time for Call Your Shot Friday here on Robbie and Rex Road. As always, we encourage your participation on our text line, your bold predictions at 615-737-1025. Our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Joe, Rex Road, how did we do last week in Call Your Shot Friday?
Let's see. Let's go to Michelle. She's got Vanderbilt beating Hawaii by at least 14, so we'll find out about that tomorrow.
Okay.
Gronk week 1 with the Bucks. I don't think that's going to happen. Titans before week 1 will sign another backup QB. Mason Rudolph is the name. Keep an eye on that. You have Malik Willis throwing 2 touchdown passes, which did not happen. He did throw 1 though to Chickaconquo. Kentucky football beats Georgia this year, so we'll laugh again at that and wait and see that happen. And then I wrote down UT football wins 1 game. I either wrote that down wrong or you were being facetious and just got all mad.
Facetious.
Okay,
yep.
all right. Well,
1-11 for the Vols.
I mean, it's written down, so officially it's a called shot for you. So we'll see how that goes for you. Robbie, you had Malik Willis with a touchdown of 30 yards or more. Did not happen. Rashad Weaver, 2 sacks versus the Bucks.
He had 1 in a fumble recovery.
So there you go. So pretty close. You had the long-term college shot. The Preds will put on the best NHL draft of all time. Feel pretty good about that one happening. And you had Jordan Love will ball out tonight. 3 touchdowns against the Saints. I mean, he did play well versus the Saints, yes?
He did play well. He only had 1 touchdown pass. But, yeah,
Okay.
he played very well in that game.
So I went with Julius Chestnut. Will score 2 touchdowns. No. And we will tread into Mekhi Sargented territory, which is not quite as bad as being Munsoned. But Chestnut, who has been at a good camp, I don't think there's a lot of momentum there for him, but he's been a nice camp player. Malik Willis will start and play 3 quarters, which I was just about right with. Oh my goodness, we'll have a touchdown to Chigakonkwo. Ding, 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 ding. I also said he'd throw a pick, which he didn't do. I said he'd rush 7 times for 34 yards. I think he ran for 42. And I had him 14 for 26 for 133, and that's not exactly right. But I got the TD to Okonkwo. I'll take that.
Very nicely done. Joe Rexrode, the winner last week of Call Your Shot Friday. Michelle, would you like to kick us off this week and Call Your Shot Friday?
I would love to. I would love to start. Okay, Nolansville. Sorry, guys.
Yes.
Got distracted for a second.
Nolansville. Let's go.
That was Chase. Chase was talking to me. I was like,
Chase, to be quiet. We got a radio show to run.
I was
this is our program.
I was like rubbing my stomach and patting my head at the same time, but I couldn't do it very well. Okay.
These suits just think they can interject whenever they want. Just take over the world with the suits.
You both said my name at the same time, and I was like, oh, goodness. Okay. Nolansville, first off,
Some words with Chase.
Incredible game yesterday for them. They are now in the United States Championship game this Saturday, 3:30. Nolansville wins it all, and they shut out. Who are they? They're playing the winner of Hawaii.
Which mercied them 13-0 in the other day.
Yes. So it's going to be a reversal. So Nolansville is going to shut them out tomorrow.
Okay.
Book it.
I like that.
I love it.
And then they're going to win it all.
Okay.
Malik Willis will play all 4 quarters on Saturday against the Cardinals, and will throw 2 touchdown passes.
Okay.
Caleb Farley has a pick 6 in Saturday's game. A big one.
Pick 6.
The reverse of a show jinx.
Yes, exactly. The reverse of a show jinx. And then Traylon Burks will have 6 catches and finally score a touchdown.
Wow. 6 catches.
And lastly, Cincinnati Reds, guys. Still my called shot. They're at 48 wins. They're not going to beat 57 wins this year.
They suck.
Yep. It's going to happen.
They do mightily suck, don't they?
Joe Rexrode, your called shots of the week.
And those shots are shots because I don't think we're going to see Farley or Burks on the field. So if they do those things, I think that's very good called shotting right there.
Also, Kentucky beats Georgia. Okay, Joe, your turn.
Oh, of course. Every week we'll say that until they lose by 30. All right, Mike Wright. 2 touchdown runs tomorrow night in Hawaii. 2 touchdown passes.
Ooh.
2 of each, and the 2 passes will go 1 to tight end Ben Bresnahan and 1 to running back Ray Davis. So
I like that.
Very specific there for you. Northwestern will have a late punt return for a touchdown, of course, to stun Nebraska in Dublin. And Scott Frost's seat will be toasty from the start.
You just totally ripped mine.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That's scary. Probably scary for you. If your brain is is like tracking with my brain, boy, you should run away, man. Well, I'm glad I got to say my shots before you then. And finally, Mason Kinsey. He's going to be a superstar tomorrow night in Nissan Stadium. He's had a very good camp. To be very, to be clear on Mason Kinsey, he's gotten better. He's had a great camp. He's going to play a ton of tomorrow. He's going to have 2 touchdown passes. And I promise you that Monday morning, there will be some momentum in the Titans fan base that Mason Kinsey's got to be on this team.
Joe just said that Mason Kinsey will have 2 touchdown passes in the game. So write that down.
My bad. You know what I'm saying. But maybe he'll have 2 passes too. Who knows? Then you got to keep him, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess I'll start with 2 of mine that Joe's totally ripped here. Mason Kinsey will be the leading receiver for the Titans tomorrow.
Oh, my gosh.
And Northwestern will upset Nebraska in Dublin. So those are 2 of my called shots to begin play tomorrow. Called shot number 3. Vanderbilt scores a touchdown on the opening drive of the season. They will score immediately in the game tomorrow, and they will control the game from start to finish. Vanderbilt scores on the opening drive of the season. Nolensville takes down Hawaii in extra innings in the U.S. Championship game. And my final called shot, Logan Woodside will not be the backup quarterback. Logan Woodside will not be the backup quarterback. This time next week, the Titans will have a different quarterback on their roster.
Okay.
Mason Rudolph.
Michelle specified Mason Rudolph. You care to follow up with the extra credit shot on who it will be?
Blaine Gabbert.
Okay.
Blaine Gabbert will be the guy.
I think he's the most likely if this happens, that would seem to make sense. Very interesting.
We're putting a lot of pressure on Mason Kinsey tomorrow. I know that.
Well, I mean, I guess I'll just go ahead and let me add a shot. Logan Woodside will be the backup QB.
Okay.
How about that? We got competing shots. Then we don't have too much brain, same brainishness here going on with the called shots.
Let's go to our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Will from Nashville on the text line says the Jags win 8+ games and are in the AFC South hunt with 3 weeks to go. Jacksonville will win 8+ games and are still in the hunt for the AFC South with 3 weeks to go. That qualifies as a called shot.
That is a shot, my friend. That is a shot. I must say, like Duraco and everything this week, I can see them being kind of interesting. Like they do have some talent.
This has been an educational week here on the program about the AFC South. No question about it. I got a texter that says, my called shots, Vanderbilt will win 6 games and go to a bowl game this year. They'll beat Tennessee. The Titans will only keep 2 quarterbacks on the active roster this year, Woodside to the practice squad. The first part of that is spicy. Vanderbilt winning 6 games, going to a bowl game, and beating Tennessee. If that happens, Clark Lee, Coach of the Year.
That's a called shot, just buffet, man. I mean, that's we have to remember that one. If it even gets close, like if they're close with Tennessee and they get to like 4 or 5, we should remember that shot because that's a lot.
I mean, we went through our predictions earlier. I have Vanderbilt at 4-8, and there were some people on the text line that thought I was nuts for having them winning 4 games this year.
Yeah. Well, look, I honestly, with 4, that means that you're either sweeping your non-league, which includes Wake Forest. Now, we don't know if Sam Hartman's going to be there. That's a big part of that one. Or you're winning at least one SEC game, and it's hard to pick them. I got them beating South Carolina this year, but I don't necessarily feel great about it. And I picked them to go 3-9.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more optimistic on Vanderbilt than you are. Vandy Joe.
Well, maybe I'm a little bit more GB Joe.
Well, maybe so.
Today.
This has been Call Your Shot Friday. You can check it out every Friday at 8:45 here on the program. Speaking of things that we love, your favorite game, Silly Underdog Picks, is back. Sign up today at theGameNashville.com or the 102.5 The Game app. Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. We're going to continue the conversation on Vanderbilt coming up next as they take on Hawaii tomorrow. Robbie Weinstein from 24/7 Sports will join us to talk about Vanderbilt heading into this season coming up next. This is Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
You watch The Game.
And he's going. Nobody's going to catch him. Derrick Henry, touchdown.
We talk The Game.
I don't think it was a bad play, but he took out their goalie.
We are The Game. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen. The opener on Oahu. This is the Commodore Report. I'm Kevin Ingram. It's finally here. Vanderbilt football begins the 2022 season and year 2 under Coach Clark Lee tomorrow night at Hawaii. The team's been practicing all week in Honolulu following a few weeks of camp in Nashville. Coach Lee has seen the group make progress toward those defining goals of the program.
Coming up with those, defining those, and actualizing them are two different things. And it's my job to make sure we shift focus and attention to bringing those 5 covenants to surface every day, that we use them to measure our progress.
Lee has 15 starters back from last year's squad. Fifth-year tight end Ben Bresnahan is one of the 8 captains chosen and one of 3 from the offense, and talks about being a more prominent voice.
Initially, I was definitely one of those guys who kind of just put his head down and try to lead by example and do everything I'm supposed to do. But then I wasn't as vocal, but now I'm trying to kind of step into that role a little bit more because I feel like that's kind of what the team needs.
The Georgia native Bresnahan is a graduate student. Kickoff tomorrow night, 9:30 Central Time for the first ever meeting in football between the two schools. After opening the home schedule against Western Kentucky on Thursday, Vanderbilt soccer continues a 4-game homestand against Providence on Sunday, 6 o'clock start. You can find all the results and game stories at VUCommodores.com with game broadcast on SEC Network Plus. Have a great weekend. Keep in mind, pregame for the football game at Hawaii tomorrow night begins at 8 o'clock Central Time on the Vanderbilt Sports Network from Learfield. That is the Commodore Report on 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing.
The summer clearance sale at Social Furniture, where all furniture is reduced in every department. Designer sofas from $5.99 and leather sofas from $7.99. Queen bedroom sets with queen bed, dresser, and mirror from $11.99. They come in solid, cherry, oak, and gray. Casual 5-piece dining room sets starting at $3.99, and formal dining sets starting at $5.99. Sealy, Stearns & Foster's, Simmons, Serta, and Purple Mattress, all sizes on sale.
Social Furniture on the west side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box stores. Shop local, shop social. They have all the best brand mattresses, sofas, recliners, love seats, sectionals, coffee tables, and more with no waiting. They will deliver it the same day. That's with everything at Social Furniture. Enjoy new furniture now with no waiting. Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome game set.
Checker flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive, this is Robbie and Rex Road. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Welcome back in, Robbie and Rex Road here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexroad. Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. And college football is back. Vanderbilt kicking things off tomorrow night against Hawaii as well. And to help us talk more about that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in Robbie Weinstein, who covers Vanderbilt for 24/7 Sports. Robbie, what's going on, man? How we doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, guys. Just getting ready for this first game like everyone else. It really came up quickly since, this week 0. I'm not really used to this. It's kind of interesting with the late kickoff as well tomorrow.
Yeah, really putting Vanderbilt fans to the test tomorrow with the 9:30 local time start. So we'll see how that goes. But in all seriousness, Robbie, looking ahead to that game, how interested are you to see what this offense looks like with Mike Wright as starting quarterback heading into this year?
Yeah, I am interested because they definitely need to tailor it around him. I think, how the offense looks will speak a little bit to the coaching staff's ability to adjust from last season and show improvement. Because if they, the offense was a little bit weird last year. They were running, like zone read options and stuff like that with Ken Seals that didn't make any sense for a pocket passer. And so I do think, Joey Lynch, the offensive coordinator, has a lot to prove this season. And so we think that the offense is going to be pretty run-heavy and tailored to Mike Wright's dual-threat skill set. If it's not, and if they try to rely on him throwing the ball downfield too much, that is a little bit of a red flag in terms of the coaching staff's ability to put together, an appropriate offense long term as well.
So what about Wright's specific improvement, Robbie? Because I agree. I mean, I think that they absolutely have to. I think they will, tailor the offense around what he does well. Do you detect a significant uptick in passing accuracy or potential to be a more efficient passer this year?
I do, and I don't think he's all of a sudden going to become, Pat Mahomes or something like that. But he was certainly a below-average passer last season. I think he only completed about 53% of his attempts. And he may not even be average in terms of SEC standards or FBS standards this season. But I have sensed improvement. I think maybe he's more like so-so now. Any type of improvement is a good thing for Vanderbilt because we got to remember that this is a guy who ran for like over 150 yards against Mizzou last season. You don't necessarily need him to be Kyle Shermer out there for him to be effective. And we saw that, their offense was a lot better down the stretch last season when he came in, after Ken Seals got hurt. So any improvement as a passer, even if he's not actually an above average passer at this point, any improvement will be welcomed for Vanderbilt. And I think they don't necessarily need him to be an amazing pocket passer to have, some sort of effective offense, even if it's not necessarily going to be explosive offense.
Robbie Weinstein from 24/7 Sports with us here on Robbie and Rex Road. So, Robbie, the other day, Vanderbilt released their week 0 depth chart, and A.J. Swan was listed as the backup quarterback ahead of Ken Seals. How much do you read into that? Is that a big deal? What do you make of what that says, both about A.J. Swan and about Ken Seals as well?
Yeah, that was a surprise even to me. I mean, I was at all but the last 2 of Vanderbilt's fall camp practices. And I thought, certainly as a pure passer, I thought Ken Seals actually was the best quarterback of the 3. Now, we got to understand that Vanderbilt's offensive line is not very good at all. He got injured behind it last season and was pretty ineffective. And also, when the quarterbacks are not live, you can't fully judge Mike Wright based on that because a lot of his runs were being blown dead way before he actually would have been down in a real game. So I definitely understand why they're going with Mike Wright as the starter, and I think that's the right move. But Seals was better than Swan, I thought, during fall camp. Swan has all kinds of potential. His arm is incredible. Definitely the best arm strength for a Vanderbilt quarterback since Jay Cutler. But he has a long way to go in terms of decision-making. That's kind of what you would expect for a true freshman. I think what it signals is Ken Seals, they just don't have him really in their plans. And if they get into a blowout situation, they would rather give developmental reps to Swan. And, I expect Ken Seals to transfer at the end of the season, to be honest. I think he's on pace to graduate in December.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think in situations where it's like get somebody some work, of course it'll be Swan. It'll be really interesting to me if they're in one of these early season games and it's close and Mike Wright gets hurt or whatever the case may be, to see which way they go then. On the other side of the ball, Robbie, long way to go for Vanderbilt in my mind to be competitive enough, especially relative to SEC teams. They are bringing some good young players in. They've had some injuries too up front, which I think is not great for this team. I mean, Davion Davis among the Miles Capers. Do you feel like we're going to see an uptick in overall talent level on that defense? And maybe who are some of the young guys that we might see early?
Yeah, before the Capers injury, I thought the defense was going to be quite a bit improved and significantly better than the offense, relatively speaking. But he's really their only, big threat as a pass rusher. So that's a huge issue for them because I think the secondary is definitely improved. But, you got to give them some help and not just let the quarterback for the opposing team sit back there for 4 or 5 seconds or whatever. In terms of the freshmen, yeah, I would look at, Trudell Berry is one guy, I think, in the secondary who's going to have a good season. He's a cornerback. They've got a lot of safeties and corners like Stevenson Niniola. Jadis Richard actually missed most of fall camp with an injury, but he's going to get back in there at some point, and he's one of their most talented defensive players. So those are some of the guys in the secondary who I think can play roles and play well right away. You usually need less time to adjust to college football as like a wide receiver, a cornerback, or safety, because those guys don't need to put on as much weight as like an offensive lineman. But then I would also go to the defensive line, and Darren Agu, who was one of their highest-rated recruits, and Tennessee tried to flip him at the end. He's going to have to play a really big role because he was going to be probably either the backup to Capers or the third stringer, and now he is going to be for sure a rotational pass rusher for them and play a lot of snaps. We'll find out if he's ready. I don't know. He missed a decent amount of fall camp with an injury as well. He's definitely talented, but he's a little on the lean side and hasn't played in a college football game before, obviously.
I mean, for this game tomorrow against Hawaii, obviously Vanderbilt's the favorite in this game, but from a game planning standpoint, how difficult do you think this has been for Clark Lee from the standpoint of basically it's an entirely new team with Hawaii with a brand new coach? I mean, they got more than 50 new guys on the team. How do you think the game planning has been able to happen for this group?
I think it's incredibly difficult because even though maybe you can find individual cut-ups of some of these guys who transferred in, you don't necessarily know how it's going to look as a whole collective unit. You don't know exactly what roles these guys are going to play. Hawaii hasn't named a starting quarterback, and it's unclear who's going to be back there. Maybe they play multiple guys. I think the other thing is Timmy Chang. I haven't heard or gotten any confirmation who's going to be calling the plays for Hawaii. So Timmy Chang, the head coach, is kind of this passing guru. He was most recently a wide receivers coach at Nevada. Their offensive coordinator came from Eastern Washington and had a really good track record there. But, I'm sure they're going to be watching a lot of Eastern Washington film, but I'm not sure who's even calling the plays, right? So I think it's going to be incredibly difficult, and both Clark Lee and Ben Bresnahan, the senior tight end, acknowledged earlier this week that in-game adjustments are going to be really important for Vanderbilt because they really don't know exactly what they're going to get. We have an idea of what type of formations or base defense they're going to use, but we know almost nothing about Timmy Chang as a play caller, if he does end up calling the plays, because he has never even been an FBS offensive coordinator before.
I think if one player jumped out at me, Robbie, going to like the scrimmage, and then their last practice, it was Ray Davis. He jumped out at me, and obviously he was going to be their starter last year at running back, Temple transfer. But I feel like he looks stronger, more explosive, and all that, just better than he did before he got hurt. Do you agree with that? What kind of a boost do you think Ray Davis could give Vanderbilt this year?
Sure, he's a really good all-around player. I mean, he's a guy who's going to be, if this is his last season at Vanderbilt, we don't know for sure, but he would be in an NFL training camp definitely next year. Whether I doubt that he would be drafted and probably more of a practice squad guy, but he is like an NFL caliber player, I think. The reason why is even behind that offensive line last year, he had over 4 yards per carry. He had some really nice moves in terms of cutting, a nice spin move, I believe, against Stanford, and like really not only can go north and south, but has a lot of good lateral agility. He's a well-rounded player. That's the thing. He's a really good pass blocker. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Honestly, he has some of the better hands on Vanderbilt's entire team. They had a lot of drops from the wide receivers and tight ends during fall camp, and I think he has better hands than most of the wideouts, to be honest with you. And then he's got power, but he's also got relatively solid speed as well. So not really any weaknesses with him other than that he is not very durable. But if he can stay healthy, that's going to make a big difference for Vandy's run game. And I think his presence is a big reason of, why I really like them against Hawaii, because the run game is going to be really important in that matchup.
All right, Robbie, last thing for you. The over-under on wins this year on FanDuel for Vanderbilt is 2.5. Joe, earlier in the show, has them winning 3. I've got them winning 4. So I guess you could say we're waving our gold Vanderbilt flags here on this program. What are your expectations for this Vanderbilt team heading into this year?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I would go 3-9. I don't feel like overly confident in that, but they went 2-10 last season and almost won an SEC game, even though they had all this dysfunction and the roster was significantly worse. remember 1 week into fall camp last year, they demoted their offensive coordinator and went with a new guy, Joey Lynch. So it really was a mess last season. The quarterback situation was not managed well, and they've got a lot more of an identity with having named Wright the starter and tailoring the offense around him basically throughout the whole offseason. So I think they'll beat Hawaii pretty easily, to be honest. Elon, I think they'll beat at home. And then, my best guess at another one would be Northern Illinois on the road. But the other opportunities would be, Sam Hartman, the quarterback for Wake Forest, may not play in that game, so that could be an opportunity. Mizzou is probably not looking like a bowl game this year, and then maybe one of the other SEC teams that we think is going to be good sort of implodes or just disappoints a little bit, and maybe Vandy can pick somebody off that we wouldn't expect right now. But I'd go, my prediction right now is 3-9, but with no SEC wins.
Robbie Weinstein for 24/7 Sports, our guest here on Robbie and Rex. Robbie, great stuff, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. Robbie Weinstein, our guest here on Robbie and Rex Show. Coming up next, we'll continue to look ahead at Vanderbilt and their game against Hawaii. We'll also have your next opportunity to join the Robbie and Rex Show Fantasy Football League coming up next as well. This is Robbie and Rex Show, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 MAC-level quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guys.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Regal Realty Group on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
Alter Bridge. Pawns and Kings Tour 2023. January 30th. Ryman Auditorium. With Mammoth, WVH, and Red. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at Ryman.com. New album, Pawns and Kings, out October 14. Sponsored by PNC Bank and Access.
Save big this Labor Day at Electronic Express. Get a Samsung 65-inch 4K TV for only $5.99 or a Whirlpool 4-piece kitchen package for just $27.99. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, mattresses, and more. Don't miss out on an Acer gaming laptop for just $6.99 or a Google Nest Hub for only $54. Shop in-store or online with up to 36 months free financing. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Jared for TriStar Moving. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything will be taken care of, from covering your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, furniture, TVs, and more. They took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit them at nashvillemoving.org/radio and get 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Hey, what's up? It's Chase McCabe here to tell you about my drink of the summertime. You know it, Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Screwball is the first and most awarded peanut butter whiskey in the world, and it's an original, just like me, the suit. I take Screwball as a shot, but it's great on the rocks, in an old-fashioned, an espresso martini, and many other recipes. So next time you're out and about, ask for Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2022 Screwball Spirits, LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
I'll second guest dinners with friends because they can be interrupted by diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or oily stools. It turns out I have EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, which means I'm missing the enzymes needed to digest food. My doctor prescribed Creon, pancrelipase, an oral prescription medication that replaces pancreatic digestive enzymes. Creon treats EPI due to cystic fibrosis, chronic pancreatitis, pancreatectomy, or other conditions.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you're allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules, as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon.
Creon is the #1 prescribed EPI treatment. Ask your doctor about Creon for EPI and visit creoninfo.com or call 800-633-9110 to learn more. That's CREON info.com.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching the game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
This week's Nashville's Best Deal is from Seafood Sensation. Seafood Sensation is a lively restaurant in the heart of Nashville that uses the best ingredients and provides a great atmosphere as well. Get half off a $25 gift card at theGameNashville.com/deals while supplies last. Welcome back in, Robbie and Rex Road here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad, Michelle Knezovic here with you. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. We have your next chance to join the second annual Robbie and Rex Road Fantasy Football League. We have 6 spots remaining. We'll give away 1 spot today and then 5 more spots all of next week as well. So looking forward to that. And today's trivia question to win the league or to win a spot in our league that you can hit up on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Sticking with the Vanderbilt theme, today's question is this. Who is Vanderbilt's all-time leading receiver in yardage, touchdowns, and receptions? The trifecta, yardage, touchdowns, and receptions. If you can name the all-time leading receiver for Vanderbilt in those 3 categories, and here's a hint, they're all the same person. Hit up our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexroad, I have a feeling that you probably know the answer to this question.
Yeah, and I think it's I expect some right answers to be pouring in on this one. There are some good. I mean, there's some names.
There's another name I think may stump people.
Yep, there's another name that I could see a lot of people guessing. So it's a good kind of like an either or kind of question, and I'm seeing the wrong name a little bit. But I think I see the right name in there too.
We got a winner. Rob from Clarksville.
Rob from Clarksville, our winner. Congratulations to Rob, who has correctly guessed that Jordan Matthews, the all-time leading receiver for the Vanderbilt Commodores, in all 3 of receptions, yardage, and touchdowns. Joe, the other name that I thought people would throw in there, and I've seen a few of them so far, was Earl Bennett on the text line.
Yes. And by the way, why is Dennis still like guessing when you're already in the league, Dennis? And you guessed wrong. Are you just trying to mess people up or what?
I guess so.
Trying to mess us up? Yeah, I see a lot of Earl Bennett. It's kind of there's more as I go through a lot of answers here. There's more Jordan Matthews, but there's a lot of Bennett. So that's a good, either or question.
Thank you.
Yes. Nice work. And congratulations to Rob from Clarksville.
Congratulations to Rob from Clarksville, the newest member of the Robbie and Rex Road Fantasy Football League. If you didn't win today, fret not. We will have 5 more opportunities for you next week to win a spot in the Robbie and Rex Road Fantasy Football League. So looking forward to that. I can announce our draft is taking place on Wednesday, September the 7th. So looking forward to that. The location is still being finalized, but I feel pretty good about knowing where it is. But I'm not going to say it yet until I know for sure where it is. But Wednesday, September 7th will be our draft. So looking forward to that. Joe, it is almost game day for Vanderbilt as they take on Hawaii coming up tomorrow to kick off the season. What are your thoughts on this game? They're heavily favored in this game by Vanderbilt standards. I think this is a game they should win. There's so much uncertainty with this Hawaii program. They've got more than 50 new players. Timmy Chang coming in as a first-time head coach. It is on the road, traveling halfway across the world. So I guess that's something you got to keep in mind. And as somebody, Shane on the text line pointed out earlier, and I need to verify whether or not this is true, but it makes some sense. Hawaii is 12-1 to begin the season at home over the last 13 tries. So it has been a tough place for a variety of reasons for people to go to and win. Having said all that, Joe, if you're a Vanderbilt fan, I think I'd be pretty disappointed if they don't come out on top on this game.
It'd be a big disappointment. And yes, it's tough to go out there. Hawaii has a history of upsetting people out there for sure. I mean, that's happened a lot. But this is a Hawaii program that is, transitioning, starting over, complete disaster, the end of the Todd Edwards era, and one of the worst defensive teams by any measure last year. It's hard to imagine Timmy Chang's going to come in there and just completely revamp that. Now, I do think the unpredictability of the offense, as Robbie Weinstein pointed out, is interesting. I think Vanderbilt expects them to be in tempo, so they're preparing for that. But still, there's just a whole bunch that you don't know about it in terms of exactly how they're going to look. You don't even know who the quarterback's going to be. I expect Hawaii to score some points in this game. Just Vanderbilt, this is a huge day for Joey Lynch, the offensive coordinator, for Mike Wright, the new quarterback. Come out and establish physical dominance. Vanderbilt will not have that opportunity many times this year. They have that opportunity tomorrow night, and they've been there a week, which I think is smart. I'm sure it's not cheap, to send a college football team out for a week in Hawaii before a game, but there are resources as we've discussed in the SEC and in big time college football, and I think that will help them.
I think it will help them as well. Matter of fact, I will say this: I have seen some people that I either know or know of on social media that have made the trip out there for the game. There are going to be some Vanderbilt fans in attendance for this game against Hawaii. So the raucous crowd of 9,300 that they were talking about earlier or late last week, Vanderbilt's going to infiltrate that a little bit, Joe Rexroad.
Well, hey, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if you have 75 people, you'll actually be heard in a crowd of 9K, Yeah. So, yeah. And it seems like, from my understanding, for real, this is a pretty significant donor situation for Vanderbilt, which makes sense. It's kind of like you can do all these fun events. You got a football game, and it's a great.
Well, I can't imagine why anybody ever want to go to Hawaii.
Yeah. So now I don't know how much noise the folks who have the kind of money to to fund a football program are going to make, but hey,
it's going to get rowdy.
Yeah, you never know. I could see John Ingram.
Oh yeah,
there waving his towel. Starting the wave.
He's seen the roadies at the Nashville SC games.
Exactly.
He knows what's going on.
The football team, the other football team that he owns, they have very rowdy fans. So maybe we'll see a little carryover.
Will from Nashville on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says another called shot. Vanderbilt has at least 5 false starts, all due to that crowd completely rattling them down there in Hawaii. Could be.
That's
communication will be key.
That's one for every 1,200 people in the crowd. That'd be rough.
That'd be pretty tough. Defensively, though, I think Mike Wright and that offense, they should be able to run the ball. They should be able to put up some points tomorrow. I am pretty interested to see how this defense holds up against the Hawaii offense, because I think defensively Vanderbilt's probably going to have some issues this year.
Yeah, and like Robbie pointed out, they've obviously they've had some good edge rushers over the years. Dayo Odeyingbo, of course, the Colts have high hopes for him. Drafted him, had the Achilles, but he's back. They had no pass rush last year. And Miles Capers, there were a lot of hopes that he could provide some now. Like Darren Agu, Notre Dame commit, huge, 4-star recruit, big recruiting win for Clark Lee, and a guy that they think is eventually going to be a difference maker. But can you expect him as a true freshman who hasn't had that full offseason in a weight room and all that to do a lot for you, especially when you get into SEC play? And that's probably asking too much. I think we are going to see a little bit of him on the field tomorrow, though.
We'll see what happens. Going to be an interesting one tomorrow night. Late start here locally, 9:30, as when kickoff happens between Vanderbilt and Hawaii. So looking forward to that. Coming up next, we'll get back into the Titans. Take a look at this preseason matchup against Arizona. How many position battles are up for grabs tomorrow as the Titans take on the Cardinals? 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. FanDuel wants you to be ready for game day when college football kicks off this week. Right now, new customers can get $150 in free bets guaranteed for week 1. Just place a $5 bet and you can get $150 in free bets, win or lose. So you got Vanderbilt taking on Hawaii tomorrow. I like Vanderbilt to win that game. I think Tennessee's favored by 32.5 against Ball State coming up next Thursday. I like the Vols to cover in that game, but you take it any way you want to take it. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, now is the perfect time to give it a shot. The app is easy to use. They're always hooking you up with great odds, and when you win, you'll get paid quickly as well. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today. Sign up with promo code ROB. Place a $5 bet to get $150 in free bets guaranteed to kick off the college football season. Once again, that promo code is ROB. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Titans training camp is underway.
Talking Titans?
What wide receivers make the team?
Traylon Burks,
The physicality.
Robert Woods,
Route concepts and how to get open. Who starts on the offensive line?
It's a full-on right tackle battle.
What other storylines will stand out?
Malik Willis, some of the best he's looked in camp.
Titans training camp coverage is fueled by Parman Energy. Now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com and by USA Hemp Store on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Maine Kenny here. Kenny Maine here. All right, that one was on me. And hey, for new Caesars Sportsbook app users, your first bet's on Caesars. So if you don't win, you get it wrong, you get up to $1,250 back as a free bet. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app and sign up with the code RADIOFULL.
Open to new users in Tennessee who are 21 or older. Qualifying bet loses. Bet amount returned as a credit. Must use within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
National Playmakers Academy with former Vols Buck Fitzgerald and James Stone, along with former Austin Peay Governor Vic Wright, offer one of the best football developmental organizations in the nation. MPA has over 30 NFL alumni, 800-plus college football scholarship signees, and 25 high school football All-Americans. If you have a student athlete in middle school or high school that is looking for the best football training and college football recruiting help around, contact National Playmakers Academy today, 615-456-2680, or email april.mpafootball@gmail.com.
This is a relationship, just like your relationship. Dating and getting married is awesome and fun, but having been married for 24 years, I can tell you it only gets better.
Meet Ward Herbert, manager at Genesis Diamonds, talking about the importance of having a long-term marriage with your spouse and your jeweler.
What's in the DNA here is relationship building. How can we be a part of your love story forever? It's your engagement ring, it's your wedding band, it's your anniversaries, it's gifts for your children, it's being a Genesis customer for life.
Genesis Diamonds, where it's never about making a sale, it's about making a hero.
The greatest joy I get is helping you find your perfect ring, helping you find your perfect diamond, and having you walk out with a huge smile on your face because you know she's going to love it and it's going to be something you can be proud of forever.
And Ward knows a thing or two about relationships as a marriage counselor and an ordained minister. He can provide a little extra added value.
I did a wedding ceremony for one of our customers 2 months ago. He did not have a minister at the last minute, and I performed his wedding ceremony for him.
Genesis Diamonds, going above and beyond for every customer.
Now you may kiss the bride.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN.
Welcome into Chase, Willy, and D-Mace.
Stomach Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators. Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey Nashville, this is Mookie Betts. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Don't miss the Eddie George Show featuring Jonathan Hutton on 102.5, 106.3 The Game every Monday night at 6 p.m. live from 6th and Peabody. Looking forward to that as football season gets rolling here. Speaking of football season, the final preseason game of the year for the Titans coming up tomorrow against the Arizona Cardinals. No practice today for the Titans. They'll be back on the field tomorrow at Nissan Stadium. And Michelle, one of the things that I'm really interested to watch tomorrow is the position battles, not necessarily with starters, because I think for the most part, those are pretty much solidified at this point. I am interested to see at corner who ends up starting, but whether it be Caleb Farley or Roger McCreary or Elijah Molden or whoever it is, I think all of them are going to play a pretty significant amount of snaps. So I'm not really worried about who is quote unquote the starter at cornerback. But beyond that, like what are the position battles that are still yet to be determined and that tomorrow's game is going to have a big outcome on. I'm really interested to see that. TD brought up punter earlier, like the Brett Kern, Ryan Stonehouse battle is interesting to me. But I think it starts for me with backup quarterback. Like, what will we learn tomorrow? Will the way that they handle the quarterbacks with Malik Willis and Logan Woodside, will that tell us one way or the other kind of how they're leaning at this point? So, like, if Willis plays the whole game tomorrow, which I think there's a chance that he might, does that tell you that they just feel good about Woodside being the number 2 and that's what it's going to be? Does that tell you that they're giving him every opportunity to step in to be the number 2 himself? Like, I'm really interested to see how they handle Woodside and Willis tomorrow, and specifically how much playing time, if any, Logan Woodside actually gets, because I still think he needs some.
No, Robbie, I completely agree, and I'm obviously going to be looking specifically at quarterback and who will be the backup quarterback, heading into this season. But the interesting thing surrounding it is I've talked to different people in the press box and brought up the point that you just said. Okay, so if Malik Willis plays the entire game, can we pretty much bank on the fact that Logan Woodside is going to be the backup quarterback? And then I've had people flip the question on me and say, well, I feel like if he plays the whole game, then he is the backup quarterback. So, we can speculate and everything like that. But what if Malik Willis plays the whole game and lights it up and we see a huge jump from the last game against the Bucs to this game? And I still think that the job is up for grabs. I think that, if you're the Tennessee Titans, if you're Mike Grebel, if you're John Robinson, you look at it like, okay, you're going to have to use a roster spot if you want Malik Willis to be that third spot, because you're not going to put him on the practice squad, because I can guarantee some other team would definitely pick him up if he was on there, if he was available. But you could flip it and you could put Logan Woodside on the practice squad and risk him getting picked up. I don't think he would, because he is one of those backup quarterbacks who's not as well known in the league. And I think it was when Vingan was in for Rexroad, he was 31st out of 32 backup quarterbacks in the league, but you still are running that risk, and he is still a backup quarterback, and he still could be exposed and somebody could take him. So I think that you have to dress 3. I think that Malik Willis has a shot at getting the backup quarterback position, but if it was me, I would just put Logan Woodside there. I would dress 3. I would have Malik Willis, because I think you still want to develop him, and he's really honed in on, every day. Like yesterday, he said to the media, well, you guys don't see my progressions every single day. And somebody, I think Chris Harris, he was like, well, what are they? And he was like, well, it's just every single day getting reps in practice, going up against starters in the NFL and having these joint practices. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And I'm hoping Malik Willis has a big game.
Well, I hope he does too, because I think it'd be really interesting. I just wonder if there's anything he can do. Like what would he have to do? Not only just in the game itself, which I think is going to be important tomorrow, but like for the whole picture of it. If you're Vrabel and you're Robinson and you're sitting down and you're making a decision on Sunday morning, Monday morning, whenever it is, about your quarterbacks, like what will the totality of the Malik Willis picture look like? And what does it have to look like for you to be comfortable with him being the 2? Like I still don't know that there's a scenario to me where he's the 2 immediately. Like I think that would be asking an awful lot for Malik Willis to be ready to play against New York. Now, obviously you don't want him to play. And I will say this about Tannehill. He's been incredibly durable ever since he took over as the starting quarterback. But your backup quarterback heading into that game, they got to be ready to play, because you're one hit away at that point from your quarterback going down and him having to go in there. And are Mike Vrabel and John Robinson comfortable enough with Malik Willis where they're willing to put him in that spot? I don't know. Maybe they are. Maybe this game he plays well, and that convinces them to do that at that point. But that's why, if I had to pick today, I still think it's Logan Woodside as of today. Now, that brings me to the other part of this. That's also why I'd like to see Logan Woodside play tomorrow, because he hadn't played well in the preseason. And I understand he knows the offense. That's kind of the go-to answer that they have every time that they're asked about him. But like at some point, you got to be able to play well in addition to knowing the offense. So Look, I fully understand the temptation to play Malik Willis all 4 quarters tomorrow, and I think there's a chance that they do that. But if they're still considering Logan Woodside to be the number 2 on this team, I think you need to play him, and I'd start him tomorrow. I would start Woodside. I'd put him in there with whatever your top level of competition is, which I don't think is going to be very high tomorrow in that game. But whatever that competition is, I think it's important that he plays well. And if he comes out tomorrow and he plays and he stinks up the joint again, then I don't really know how you could be all that comfortable with Logan Woodside as your number 2 heading into the season.
I agree, Rob. I think that we're definitely going to need to see something from him tomorrow. And what you're going to need to see from him, it needs to be somewhat promising or somewhat giving the fan base, giving Tennessee a little bit of hope of, okay, if Ryan Tannehill goes down, we would feel comfortable putting him in because obviously the practice field compared to actually playing an NFL game is pretty different. And also, with the amount of injuries that Tennessee had last year, they were very lucky that Ryan Tannehill wasn't one of those guys. But if you take a look at Ryan Tannehill's past in Miami, he was banged up and hurt quite a bit. And if this is the year that, God forbid, you never want to see anybody have a season-ending injury, but if you need to be prepared, you need to have depth on this NFL roster because it can happen in one snap and your team could look completely different. But looking at it that way, I still wouldn't feel comfortable with Logan Woodside. Maybe if he needed to handle a game or two. But if you look at, potentially needing to take over a season or take over the last 5 games in the playoff push, I'm going out and signing somebody else. And obviously these are all what if and speculated scenarios. But
they are, but that's what you have to think about. Right? Like if you're J-Rob, you got to be thinking about those what if scenarios.
Like, would you rather have, Logan Woodside is the safe-ish answer, but would you rather, say you start off, 8-2 or something like that, and you're like, okay, we're really pushing for, maybe that number 1 seed. You're pushing for a good playoff slot. You're not going to want to put either of those guys in my opinion. You're going to want to go out and try to get somebody who can actually push you over the edge and help you end the season, better than you would have just kind of thrown it away, even if you're already in this go for it mode.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what they do with quarterback tomorrow. I mean, that's probably the number one thing that I'm going to be looking at in this game. Honestly, this game is really interesting from the standpoint of I have no clue how Vrabel's going to handle this. I mean, traditionally, the last preseason game, quite frankly, is potentially the worst thing in sports to watch. Like it's brutal.
Yeah, we need some real football.
And I don't know, like tomorrow, it's probably going to be how tomorrow is. Like I don't think there's going to be very many starters that play. Like I think Nicholas Petit-Frere could get some snaps tomorrow at right tackle. I mean, Dylan Radins isn't a starter, but I think he should probably play a lot tomorrow. Be that at guard, be that at tackle, wherever. Like maybe Caleb Farley plays. But other than that, like I don't think there's going to be very many starters that are in action tomorrow. So there's only a certain amount of intriguing storylines that are there. Like how many corners are you going to keep? Can you find somebody at safety that you feel great about beyond, Byard or Hooker? Those are a couple things on the defensive side of the ball. With Monty Rice going on PUP, like I think their linebacking picture is starting to become set. But then there's the 6th receiver too. Like I 5 spots I think are taken. Number one, do they decide to keep 6? And if they do, like is Des Fitzpatrick going to be the leader in the clubhouse for that 6th receiver? I mean, there's a couple of different spots on both sides of the ball that I think depth-wise are pretty interesting. It's always interesting to me, Michelle, though, like how many of those decisions, like as Vrabel's looking at this game tomorrow, how many of those decisions are like, all right, well, it's going to come down to these 2 guys, and basically how they play in this game is going to determine it. And how many of those decisions have basically already been made going into this game? That's always kind of an interesting part of the final preseason game.
Well, I think this game definitely matters, as the final one, especially for those last couple guys who are trying to make the final roster as cuts are coming up soon. But I think it's got to be the whole picture. I mean, if you see a guy ball out in this last game but has really done nothing in preseason, yeah, that's great for all of the other teams around the league looking to maybe add somebody at that position if they had a couple injuries and they need to add somebody. But you would think Vrabel and John Robinson would have a pretty clear idea with maybe one or two holes, kind of the ones we talked about, maybe punter. I do think that Brett Kern is going to end up staying on this team. I think they are going to go with Brett Kern, too. But I think maybe there is a slight question there, but not much. And then I think that Stonehouse will probably get picked up by another team very, very quickly after that. I think that it'll be good. I think Dylan Radins is going to stay on the team. I agree with TD. I think I'm almost 96% that he's going to be on this team, even just for depth. No, he's not going to be a starter. Yes, you wanted him to be a starter, but, he was a second-round pick. He does have a skill set to be in the NFL, not at a starting job. We've seen that. But, hey, keep working with him. Keep working with the offense. At least he knows a couple different positions. You can have him as a backup guy. Definitely want to see some reps from Nicholas Petit-Frere because at this point he is your starting right tackle unless anything changes and they decide to add somebody. But I agree. It's exciting, especially for those guys who are just working so hard to solidify a spot on the roster.
Drew on the text line says, crazy thought. Let's see if Kaepernick has anything left. He can't be worse than any other backup. It would draw some publicity and give the dude another chance if he is in a locker room disturbance. Just a crazy thought. Guys,
yeah.
Colin Kaepernick hasn't played quarterback since 2016. It's time to let that one go. It's been 6 years since he's been in the league. You can think whatever you want to think about Kaepernick, and at the time that he was not in the league, he was definitely good enough to still be in the league. But how does anybody have any clue what Colin Kaepernick is anymore? He's been 6 years since he's been in the league. So
yeah, and I don't
think it's going to happen.
I don't agree with, watching him throw on a video, or he practiced with the Raiders, I think, earlier this year, and they said,
that didn't go well.
Yeah, so in the fact that he hasn't been on an NFL team, in over 6 years, I would stick with Logan Woodside over him at this point.
615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We'll continue the discussion on the Titans. Welcome your thoughts as well on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. This is Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Forecast calling for a high temperature right near 90 degrees this afternoon. A little more humidity than yesterday and a few more pop-up showers and storms afternoon through the evening, but no severe weather is expected throughout the day.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
At Cordell & Cordell, we focus on representing men in domestic relations cases.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
We recognize that our clients are going through perhaps the toughest time they will ever go through. We understand that everything that's important to them is on the table. Their assets, the role in their children's lives. That's an immense responsibility that our clients entrust us with, and we take that very seriously. We've been trained to do that. We've helped thousands of clients before. And it's our hope that you'll choose to entrust us with what's most important to you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Contact the domestic litigation firm of Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Nashville area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 615-457-8700. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Offices in Nashville, Franklin, Murfreesboro, and Gallatin. Cordell & Cordell, 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067.
Are you sick and tired of constant pain in your knees, hips, or back? Especially this time of the year. You need to be moving pain-free, right? Hey, Willy Donick here for the team at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is helping people every day, giving them lasting pain relief using the latest advances in regenerative medicine. The science is simple. They concentrate your own body's healing agents and apply them to your aching joints, restoring and repairing the damaged tissue. No drugs, no steroids, no surgery. The old remedies for pain are not the only remedies. You need to learn more about how regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics can change your life. Make this the last summer you suffer from chronic pain. They've got clinics here and all over America. This is the exciting new, natural way to deal with joint pain. No side effects, no downtime. So call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
This week's Nashville's Best Deal is Seafood Sensation.
Often imitated but never duplicated, Seafood Sensation is Nashville's original seafood restaurant. Right now, you can get half off a $25 gift card at theGameNashville.com/deals and enjoy some of your favorite seafood dishes, like their crab legs platter, grilled salmon, and more. That's Seafood Sensation, located at 2719 Jefferson Street near the TSU campus. Get half off a $25 gift card while they last at theGameNashville.com/deals.
Jared Stillman.
If you get 3 games where he doesn't turn the ball over, you're going to the Super Bowl.
Caroline Fenton.
I don't know if he would be open to joining another team.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
This September 10th and 11th, the Chainsmokers hit Music City at the Blended Wine and Music Festival. 24 bands, 2 stages, 1 weekend, all under the Nashville skyline. Buy your tickets now at blendedfestival.com. Once again, that's blendedfestival.com. Welcome back in. Robbie and Rex Road here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rex Road, Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Looking ahead to the final preseason game, the final day, mercifully, of preseason football upon us tomorrow in the NFL. Joe, we've gone through the quarterbacks with Malik Willis and Logan Woodside and kind of what the interesting dichotomy is there with those two tomorrow. What else are you looking for tomorrow as the Titans take on Arizona in the final preseason game, whether that be position battles, performances of some guys? What's going to catch your eye tomorrow in this game that may be pretty brutal to watch?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm mainly looking forward to not watching preseason football for another year. I think it continues to lose value as time goes on. Although I guess if these joint practices are going to get as violent as they got yesterday, I kind of thought maybe we're just going to be headed to a bunch of joint practices, but geez.
Swinging helmets, punching faces.
My goodness. But yeah, I think tomorrow if the corners play, great, get a more chance to see Farley, McCreary out there getting ready. I have my doubts if Grebel will even put them out there. I guess of all the people who could contribute to the football team this year, who could be regular key contributors, the most confident I would be in playing would probably be the offensive lineman. I just feel like Petit Frere, every rep seems important for him right now. So that'd be my first guess. Obviously the punting situation. I mean, that's big time right now. That is a major competition. You don't get that every year. You're not used to punting competitions around here. I do wonder if Brett Kern has gone back to holding in practice. What does that mean? Does that mean that they just want to make sure, okay, let's get Kern some reps in there too. You got to keep him sharp in case it's going to be him. Or does that mean, you know what, Stonehouse, we love you. You are going to be a good punter for somebody, but we're going to stick with the veteran. I don't know. And maybe tomorrow we'll shed a little light on that. Like I said, the offensive lineman, Dylan Radins, TD does not seem too keen on Jared's idea of the 75% Radins. Hey, I'm telling you, if he gets cut, I'll be ready to tip the cap.
We're going to hear about it.
Oh, and that's fine. I mean, that's a good call if that happens. I don't think it will, but I think he's got to get in there, and I think he's got to.
He needs to play almost the whole game.
Yeah. So it's worth watching because look, like it or not, even if Radins may be now not really a factor as a starter, he's still, if they are going to keep him, still a guy who may have to play football for this team. The corner situation, like I said, and other than that, I think it's just a lot of guys trying to make a roster. There's guys at the inside linebacker spot. How many do they keep and who? Defensive line, how many do they keep and who? This is a huge game for guys like that. And maybe at receiver too, like Des Fitzpatrick. Does he need a big night to convince them to keep a 6th receiver and for it to be him? Could someone else take a theoretical 6th spot from him?
Matt from DC on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Are you guys concerned that Tannehill and Henry have not played at all after what happened in week 1 last year?
No. Week 1 last year, if Tannehill and Henry had played, let's say they played all preseason last year, does that help Taylor Lewan not get annihilated in his first game back from an ACL? No. Henry was fine. I mean, he didn't have a lot of room to run, and all of a sudden they're down big in that game, and he becomes less of a factor. I mean, Tannehill wasn't good, but also it depends on how much you want to blame Tannehill for taking a snap on a play action pass, turning around and having someone's helmet in his chest. I mean, you don't want him to drop the ball.
Or every time Tannehill closes his eyes, he probably still sees Chandler Jones in his face, even to this day.
Yeah, like the skill guys getting more work. I honestly don't see the correlation between that and what happened in that opening game. They got their butts kicked up front badly, and are you going to play Taylor Lewan a lot more coming off the ACL? I mean, it was just look. He rushed the process, and then Bud Dupree. They both basically admitted that they rushed the process to play in week 1. They just got their butts kicked, man. Like most teams now in the NFL don't play their key players in these games. I just don't think you're going to find a whole lot of carryover from, well, this team played their quarterback and look how much sharper they are in week 1. I don't buy it. You still practice every day to work on reps. The game week of practice, you work on the actual plays you're going to play in the game, and that stuff's more important.
Oh, and the difference is, like, do you really think it makes a big difference one way or the other if they're playing 4 plays? Like if Tannehill played a series tomorrow, would you feel any differently about him coming in week 1?
I mean, that sounds kind of like someone saying Tannehill's the story of camp and that like his camp is going to have some huge comment on what he's going to do. Like it just doesn't really make sense.
That's a nice shot. You're able to get in there. Like I think that just gets really, really overblown. Now, they're going to have to come out week 1 and play well. I mean, the concern about week 1 to me is similar from last year from the standpoint of, like, I still don't have a great amount of faith in this Titans offensive line, and there's a chance they could come out and just get whooped again in that week 1. Now, I said this earlier, the Giants don't have any players at the moment, so I don't know who's going to be doing the whooping, but that to me is still the concern. It's not Tannehill, it's not Henry, it's not any really the skill guys, it's can you protect the quarterback long enough to operate your offense?
Exactly. I mean, and so this is where, if you want to talk about preseason game reps, first game, that's why I'd have 78 out there.
Yeah,
a lot tomorrow night, because that's every bit of work he can get as a rookie has got to help. It's a big jump from this stuff to a real game. And like you said, in the Giants now, you got Thibodeau, and now Ojulari's hurt too.
Yeah.
But there's still professionals, who are capable of rushing a passer. He's going to have to block in that game.
Joe, Godspeed to you today. Going to be quite the day for the Rex Road household, but we wish you and Jack the best as you get through the rest of this day here.
Enjoy.
Thank you. I'll try to stop blubbering and bawling by Monday morning. Thanks, guys.
We'll see what happens on that front. Michelle, hope you have a great weekend. We'll have actual football to talk about on Monday, some college football taking place this weekend. And, of course, we'll be here on Monday to recap the final game of the preseason for the Titans against the Arizona Cardinals as well. That does it for us. We'll be back at 6 a.m. coming up on Monday. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase up next. You're listening to 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
You watch The Game. We talk the game.
You can't just pick up one guy and be competitive in the playoffs.
We are The Game. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Pilgrimage Music and Cultural Festival, September 24th and 25th, with Chris Stapleton, Brandi Carlile, the Avett Brothers. Pilgrimage Music and Cultural Festival with Chris Stapleton, Brandi Carlile, the Avett Brothers, John Batiste, Elle King, and so many more. General admission and VIP passes on sale now at pilgrimagefestival.com.
Arthritis and rheumatic conditions are leading causes of disabilities among adults. Joint replacement could be the solution. The team at Houston Clinic Orthopedics approaches each case with a complete evaluation to see if surgery is right for you. Houston Clinic Orthopedics specializes in arthritis, hip, knee, and shoulder replacements, hip fractures, osteoarthritis of the hip, and joint pain. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Other banks go out of their way to make redeeming credit card rewards needlessly complicated, like how they require minimums or force you to use your rewards before reaching some arbitrary expiration date. But Discover isn't like that. With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount, at any time, so you'll never have to jump through hoops. Unless you're like a trapezist, then by all means, go right ahead. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
I don't want to sound like a complete and total Grebel homer right now.
Oh, boy.
But there is something to be said for a team that had a complete mess on the offensive line last year. The left tackle was recovering from an ACL. He was in and out of the lineup. The left guard who made the Pro Bowl, he was always hurt. The center is old and had a game and two where he'd go down on the ground, and the right guard was fine. The right tackle wasn't an NFL caliber starter. The star player gets hurt in the middle of the season. The quarterback had a bad season. Both receivers were hurt. The defense at times had guys all over the place in and out of the lineup. Thank God for Buster Screen. They couldn't consistently make a field goal. The punter, who's actually really good, had a bad year. And somehow they ended up with the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Tune in Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. E2 Roofing, Nashville's veteran-owned roofing company with integrity, along with 102.5 The Game. Recognize our veterans, active military, and first responders.